It's time for Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. For the next 3 hours, it's high school basketball from across the Mountain State. Live from Marshall University, here's your host, Ryan Epling.
And good evening on this rainy Friday evening in Huntington, West Virginia. James Collier in studio tonight. Ryan Epling, a little under the weather. We send our best wishes to him. Joined in studio with Bill Cornwell. Billy C., let's go straight to the games going on. It's Girls Championship weekend, and we've got a barn burner up in Charleston right now between Sissonville and Wyoming East.
We got a real dandy going on as far as the semifinals in Class AA. 34 seconds left, and the Sissonville Indians have come from behind to take care of, at least they're leading Wyoming East 51-50, but it's 34 seconds left. Timeout was taken by Wyoming East, and they're trying to get their strategy to see if they can make the last second win.
And an update on that game is actually now 12 seconds left. It's actually gone down. Still Sissonville leading number one Wyoming East. We'll keep you up to date on that game as we move forward. The rest of Class Single A, it's ready to go. Tomorrow, 12 o'clock, Class Single A Championship. Number one St. Joe, number one Wheeling Central. No big shockers there.
No.
St. Joe rolls through the quarterfinals, knocks off Charleston Catholic in the semis. The other side, Wheeling Central, easy win over Fayetteville. Takes care of Tucker County and sets up a 1-2 matchup. Really no big surprises there. The only, big surprise coming into that was the rankings. St. Joe actually vaulting Wheeling Central, picking up that number one seed, but it all plays out in the end.
Well, a lot of people have been kind of whispering around the state, James, that maybe this is the year to get St. Joe because last year they had a team that featured 4 Division I prospects, and this year some underclassmen having to do a lot of the work. But it seems that a lot of people thought, well, maybe we can just pick them off. Well, guess what? They haven't lost a game to a West Virginia team yet. And, of course, they're going to be taking on the team tomorrow, the last West Virginia team to beat them in Wheeling Central, and that was many moons ago.
Well, before we go to Class AAA, another update in AA. We are about to have an epic upset as Sissonville leads Wyoming East, the number one team in Class AA, 54-51 with 4 seconds left to go in that ballgame. Can Gabby Lapardis will the Wyoming East team to at least overtime with Sissonville, or will Sissonville come away with the win? We'll keep you updated on that. Earlier this afternoon, it was number one Morgantown dispensing of the Huntington Highlanders. It was a great ball game. Morgantown had a sizable lead, but Huntington just ran out of horses, as especially once Erica Budd fouled out of that ball game. It really took away the presence for the Highlanders down low. Morgantown finishes off Huntington with a 6-point win, back-to-back trips to the state championship for Jason White's team. We'll talk to him later on this evening.
Defending state champions, most people said that they were the team to beat, and they are right where people expect them to be. It just that they had quite a bit of a struggle today. But, of course, these two teams faced off earlier this year, and Huntington loses again to Morgantown. That's 2 losses this year to them.
We have a final upset in Class AA. Sissonville knocks off number one Wyoming East 55-54. Billy C., that will send shockwaves across the state without a doubt. So now that will set up the AA championship game. Sissonville will face Fairmont Senior tomorrow, 2:30 for the Class AA championship. Not many people saw that one coming, but Sissonville, a deadly team, really finding its groove here at the end of the season.
Fairmont Senior probably happy that they don't have to face Wyoming East, but they will get a battle from Sissonville. But Fairmont Senior, they had an impressive win today against Lincoln. I got to see Lincoln yesterday as they battled North Marion, their nearby rivals, and good, solid team there, but Fairmont Senior had their way with them this afternoon.
Well, let's go ahead and get things started as we'll go to the phone lines here. You can interact here with the show, 855-345-4709. You can also hit us on Twitter, @hoops_roundup, with all your scores updates, as we've got a jam-packed show all the way up till midnight tonight. We'll hear from Rick Marone. He's up in Charleston, West Virginia at the Girls State Tournament. He'll be checking in with us later on this evening. But let's go to the phone lines. Charles Buster Large, head coach from the Bluefield Beavers, joins us there. Coach, good evening. How are you, sir?
Just fine, sir. How about you?
Doing fine. Thanks for joining us this evening, Coach. Let's talk about the season for the Bluefield Beavers. Tell me a little bit about the run and what do you see coming up in the Class AA matchup with number 2 Bridgeport coming up Thursday afternoon?
Well, we're just very happy to get back. We've had it's been a hard year on everybody, especially just getting back to the weather in southern West Virginia and I'm sure across the state. But, just to get back to the state tournament is a big privilege for us, and we're going to have a big task Thursday and facing Bridgeport. They have an outstanding team.
Coach, talking about making a return trip, how much does that aid in the guys that are with the team that were there last year that made that trip to Charleston, had a chance to play under the lights and the big stage of being able to go back this year and try to make another run towards a state title?
Well, we had some talent coming back, but we didn't know if we knew how balanced AA would be. This is probably one of the most talented AA classes I've seen in a long, long time, and I think a lot of sports writers will compliment on that too. AA has a tremendous amount of talent this year, and we have a good team. I don't know. As far as experience and losing 4 3-year starters like we did last year was a lot of great kids, good athletes, but we just feel like that there's no pressure on us, and we're looking forward to getting started Thursday.
Coach, in the sectionals, you finish out quickly with James Monroe, an 88-43 victory. Have a close game with Pikeview in that sectional championship, but then get past a very hungry Wyoming East team in that regional title. How much does having those 2 close games with Pikeview and Wyoming East really set you up for what you expect to see out of a very good Bridgeport team Thursday afternoon?
Well, down here for years, we have a very tough region to get out of, and we had a tremendous game, tremendous effort last Saturday with Pikeview, and we're able to pull out the win. And then I just knew all week long that Wyoming East would play us very well because they just have great basketball tradition down there. And we were very lucky to come out with another win. And, those kids played their hearts out and played with a lot of poise and a lot of energy. And we're very fortunate to be heading to the state tournament.
Head coach for Bluefield, Charles Buster Large. Coach, thanks for joining us tonight. Best luck of your run in the state tournament Thursday afternoon as you face off against Bridgeport.
Thank you so much, and looking forward to seeing you all Thursday.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Coach. Billy C., it's one of those things. He had the team there last year, but as he mentioned, those 3 seniors that he lost, it really brought a lot to this team, but a great job of getting his team back there this season. And again, it's getting there. The records are fresh. You make a run, you may get there.
Well, the thing about Bluefield, and I've made this comment a lot of times, that is a school. It's a large AA school. They have a lot of talent. They've always had a lot of athletes in that school. And so Coach Buster doesn't have to look very far to find some guys who can play some hoops, and they have a great tradition in basketball as they do in football. And I always use the term, you've heard me use this term many times, that it's a AA school with AAA talent. And so it's no surprise that Coach Buster got his guys back up there. Of course, you got to get the job done on the floor, and they did that with the win over Wyoming East.
Well, let's go ahead and check our first check of the scoreboard update as we'll go through all of the scores from around the state in Class Single, Double, and AAA for the Girls State Championship. Looking for scores? Look no more. Go to basketballnight.com for all your scores from around the Mountain State. We start first in Class Single A. This was the Girls State Tournament. Earlier this week, number 1 St. Joe rolls over Tug Valley 75-46. They met up with Charleston Catholic, who dispensed of Pocahontas County in the 5-4 game, in which Charleston Catholic knocked off Pocahontas County 57-28. In the semifinals, it was St. Joe easily past Charleston Catholic 51-27 to put St. Joe back into that state championship matchup tomorrow afternoon. On the bottom half of the Single A bracket, number 3 Tucker County survives a scare from number 6 St. Mary's 60-50, your final score as Tucker County advances into the semifinals. Wheeling Central, no problems with number 7 Fayetteville. as Wheeling Central advances for the 2-3 matchup, and then Wheeling Central eases past number 3 Tucker County 52-40, setting up your Class Single A state championship game. Number 1 St. Joe, number 2 Wheeling Central. Tip-off 12 noon tomorrow afternoon up in Charleston. In Class AA, number 1 Wyoming East, 20-point win over the 8 seed Bluefield, 68-48. It was number 4 Sissonville defeating number 5 Clay County, 44-32. The upset, first upset in Class AA, number 6 Lincoln over number 3 North Marion, 59-55. Number 2 Fairmont Senior has to survive a scare from number 7 Bridgeport, 66-60. Semifinal matchup, number 2 Fairmont Senior gets past number 6 Lincoln easily by 30, 65-35. And maybe the biggest upset of the state tournament as of yet. Number 4 Sissonville takes out number 1 Wyoming East 55-54 to set up tomorrow's matchup at 2:30 with number 2 Fairmont Senior, number 4 Sissonville. The winner cuts down the nets. In Class AAA, number 1 Morgantown blows past number 8 Buchanan Upshur 64-18. It was number 4 Huntington with the epic comeback to knock off number 5 Spring Valley. The Highlanders closed the fourth quarter on a 23-3 run and knock off Spring Valley 67-56. Number 3 South Charleston gets past number 6 Greenbrier East 52-49, and number 2 Park South defeats number 7 Martinsburg 61-43. In the semifinals in Class AAA, number 1 Morgantown survives the push from number 4 Huntington and gets a 6-point win, 48-42. And the final game of the evening session for Class AAA, it will be number 2 Park South, number 3 South Charleston. The winner of that game will face Morgantown tomorrow evening, 7:15, for the Class AAA state championship. That's the first check of your basketballnight.com scoreboard update. So as we talked, going through the scoreboard, we had an epic upset in Class AA. Number 4 Sissonville has a chance to dispense the number 1 team in Class AA, Wyoming East. We go to the highlight call from West Virginia Metro News right here on Basketball Friday Night.
4 seconds remaining. 4.1 to be exact. 54-51. Brooke Reed Jr. at the line to the right. Hits the sealer. It's a 7-point game. Lapardis into the front court. Lapardis puts up a runner at the horn. It banks in for 3. Count the basket, but it's not enough. Sissonville has upset the top seed. The Wyoming East Warriors fall here at the Charleston Civic Center Coliseum by the final of 55-54. Michaela Long, the freshman, gets a big bear hug from her assistant coach as the Indians are heading back to the Class AA championship game as Wyoming East suffers just their second loss of the season. Unfortunately for the Warriors, it's a season ender. Final score from the Charleston Civic Center Coliseum: Indians 55, Warriors 54.
That Wyoming East team coming in winners of its last 7. The only loss on the record this year, that was the loss to the Class AAA St. Albans Red Dragons up in the Big Atlantic Classic, 64-59. Billy C., that's a big one, but Sissonville now runs into the buzzsaw that is the hottest team in girls basketball right now. Fairmont Senior in the middle of a 23-game winning streak. This team started off the season 1-2 and has pulled off 23 straight consecutive wins, now looking to cut the nets down tomorrow.
Yeah, you talk about getting better as you go along, and they just keep piling up some big numbers. They play a very competitive schedule up there in the central north part of the state. And, again, they really impressed me the way they won their semifinal game today over what I thought was very good, especially on the offensive side, a very talented Lincoln team. They win by 20 points.
So we have everything for the girls' championship Saturday set, with the exception we're missing one team. That's coming out of Class AAA. That's coming up in about 15, 20 minutes tip-off between South Charleston and Park South. The winner gets Morgantown. Boy, there's a consolation gift waiting for you looking up at the number 1 team in Class AAA.
Tell you what, an impressive team from South Charleston. Got a chance to see them a couple of weeks ago. Very athletic. Coach Gary Green's team taking on a rock-solid Parkersburg South squad. And that should be an interesting up-and-down kind of game just moments away at the Charleston Civic Center Coliseum.
So what we'll do is step aside for our first break. When we come back, we will be joined by Rick Marone. He is at the Charleston Civic Center. He'll give us an update on that game, preview the next matchup between those Class AAA teams of Park South and South Charleston, as well as Dave Tallman. He's the head coach for Magnolia. That coming up right after this, right here on Basketball Friday Night.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Special thanks tonight to all of our affiliates. You can listen to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State, including Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM, WYRCLP in Spencer, 97.9 FM, WSPWLP Parkersburg, 91.5 FM, Knights Radio, WRSG Middleburn, 106.7 FM, WHFI Linside, 101.9 FM and 1290 AM, WVOW in Logan, 90.7 FM, WFGA Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM, WQAZLP Edmond, Beckley, 101.7 FM, WYAPLP Clay, and 88.1 FM, WMUL in Huntington. Cable subscribers can find Basketball Friday Night in Huntington on Comcast Channel 25 and Armstrong Digital Channel 204. Streaming online high-definition video can be found on our website, basketballnight.com, and on affiliate rsnsports.com. Listen online with any computer or mobile device by going to basketballnight.com and click on Listen Live. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, at @hoops_roundup. We appreciate everybody tweeting us tonight, sending us score updates, and giving us a shout-out, including Mountain State Prep Hoops. Phrases for Girls, Wheeling Park Girls Basketball Team, Hawks Nest, Woody Woodrum, Melody Nicely, RHS Devil Ed Basketball, 100 High School, Jamie Colbank, a new follower tonight, and Sean Ward. It's the fastest 3 hours on radio, Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State, you're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, James Collier, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
9:17 on this rainy Friday evening here in Huntington, West Virginia. James Collier, Bill Cornwell in studios. Ryan Epling under the weather this evening. We send our best to him. He'll be back with us hopefully next week. Rick Marone, he is up in Charleston, West Virginia. We go to him now. Coach Marone, man, you had a great seat for one of the best games so far in the tournament. And Sissonville takes down the #1 team in Class AA. But what an effort there by Coach Skeen's team.
Yeah, I tell you what, James, I am in the eye of the storm here. This is a place where #1 went down tonight. Wyoming East came in, had the one loss to St. Albans earlier in the year, had really dominated through last night's win over Bluefield, and really controlled this game from almost start to finish. But give Sissonville credit, they fell behind by 8 points in the fourth period, hit a couple of big threes, and the dagger was they trailed late in this game, and Michaela Long, a freshman, nailed a three with about 9 seconds left to put the Indians in front, and Wyoming East came down, was unable to convert. They hit a couple of free throws, went up 4, and then Gabby Lapardis banked a 3 in at the buzzer to set the final score at 55-54. Madison Jones had fouled out for Sissonville inside the last minute, and Michaela Long stepped up. The freshman got an open look, had struggled off and on throughout the night, but she hit it when it counted, and that sends Sissonville into tomorrow's championship against Fairmont.
Rick, this is Bill Cornwell. We were sitting there kind of listening to the broadcast, and you got to give Coach Skeen credit because between judicious use of timeouts and just some good strategy, he got those girls to really not give up and when it looked like they were in a really bad situation, but he kind of kept hope alive, and I mean, credit to him for getting the gals ready to go and to execute what was a winning strategy.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this Sissonville team is a seasoned team. They were runner-up last year. They fell to Westside 42-30 in that game, and they did not quit. But I'll tell you what, Bill, it was 50-44 at one point late in this game, and basically they went on a 14-0 run or 15-1 run. And, they had a couple of mistakes from East, a couple of turnovers late in the game. Again, this Wyoming East team, definitely a team of the future. They've got 4 freshmen that play a key role for them. And down the stretch, it was the seasoned veterans of Sissonville that were able to pull it out. But it was a great game. They've been the game of the tournament to this point, and Sissonville will move on to play Fairmont tomorrow.
Coach, we got another big game coming up to close out the Friday evening session, Class AAA, as Park South, South Charleston, winner gets Morgantown. You keep us updated on that. We'll check back in with you in just a little while.
Yeah, I'll get back with you. This should be a great way to top off semifinal Friday. South Charleston, a great win yesterday over Greenbrier East. And, of course, Park South wanting to regain the crown. They were champions year before last. Morgantown took the title last year, and they'd like nothing better than to have round 3 tomorrow night on prime time, and they're going to have to battle tonight. South Charleston, a confident team right now, so I will check back with you a little bit later and give you an update on this final AAA matchup.
All right, Coach, thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon. Coach Rick Marone on location at the Charleston Civic Center for the girls' state tournament. Let's go right back to the phone lines. Joining us there, the head coach for the Magnolia boys basketball team, Dave Tallman. Dave, good evening, sir. How are you?
Hi, guys. How you doing? We're doing great up here in New Martinsville.
Well, thanks for joining us on the program. Congratulations on advancing into the state tournament. You'll face up against number 6 Clarksburg Notre Dame Wednesday morning, 9:30. That will open up the boys' session. Tell me about the trek of getting your team going. Winners of its last 5. How important is that for you to have that winning streak moving into Charleston on Wednesday?
Well, we're in the OVAC conference up here, and we played 2 really tough games against Monroe Central, who had beat us by 20 earlier in the year, and then a Fort Fry team. The hard thing to do right now is to win that and then try to re-peak, for the state tournament. So we're excited about being there. 9:30 is a tough slot, to get these guys going, but we're going to practice tomorrow morning and just see how it goes.
Coach, you're right. You're kind of like the debut of the whole tournament, so a lot of eyes will be on you. But you take on a Clarksburg Notre Dame team that's been pretty successful in recent years. Of course, everybody knows about Jared West Jr.
Right, and I've watched them on film. They play with a lot of enthusiasm. They play a lot of people. They've got depth. They try to kind of play like the way we play. We try to attack the rim. We try to pressure on defense, contest every pass and every shot. We try to box out and hold you to one shot. And it's going to be a great basketball game. I hope people can get out there and watch it, even though it's that early in the morning. Coach,
let's go back to the game that you brought up, the win over Monroe Central. Back up 3 games prior to that. You had a 2-point win over Payton City, a 5-point win over Valley Fayette, and then a 2-point win over Bishop Donahue. How much do you take away from games like that you really have to play 4 quarters of basketball, come out on top, and you go back and you see the game plan you wanted to execute work to the T, and you come away with a victory and then able to get that win over Monroe Central?
Right, and it was just great preparation for this. And, then we moved on, and we faced a great Bishop Donahue in the sectional, and then we played Wheeling Central, who ended up with the number 1 seed, and that kind of surprised me a little bit because we beat Wheeling Central, Wheeling Jesuit earlier in the year in the Undos Classic. Now, they came down and they beat us in our Rotary Challenge, but we're 2-1 against them. And just like you said, in the last few games, they've all been battles, and it has to help you with the preparation for the tournament. I feel real good about where we are right now.
Coach, in the bottom half of the bracket, you'll have Greater Beckley Christian and Tucker County. You look up in the top, Wheeling Central, the team that you beat in the Region 1 Section 1 championship back on the 7th of March. They're in the top half of that bracket. Does that give you a good feeling of knowing that if you can take care of business, you've got a great chance of cutting down the nets next Saturday in Charleston?
You know, we have to take them one at a time, and we really want another shot at Greater Beckley Christian. They came to our place, and we outscored them 34-11 in the second quarter. We were up by 19. We came out in the third quarter. We were careless with the basketball. We played like we were behind instead of ahead. So this first game is really an incentive for us just to get a chance to redeem ourselves. We've redeemed ourselves all year. Every one who has beaten us this year, we have got revenge on, except for Cameron. They had a nice team this year. We only played them the one time, and that was a senior night where I played a senior that wasn't even a JV starter. They jumped on us. But all the other games, we've had a chance to redeem ourselves. So I guess you would call this a redemption game.
Coach, one final thing real quick before we let you head off and get ready for the rest of your evening. You play that 9:30 segment on Wednesday morning, but then if you advance, you also have a 9:30 segment Friday morning. How much does that help of being able to play in the same time slot back-to-back days of if you advance, you get that day off, and then you come back and play at the same time on Friday?
I think it's a good situation, and we'll be up Friday morning practicing somewhere at 9:30 too. So it's just, the people have to understand that when the state tournament started taking this many teams playing it early in the morning, but it's different this day and age. All these players play AAU basketball. They're used to getting up and playing games at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're just excited about the opportunity.
Coach Dave Tallman from Magnolia joining us here on the show. Coach, thanks so much for joining us here tonight, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. It's a great show. And anything to promote high school basketball, I just dearly love.
Coach, thanks so much for the compliments. We greatly appreciate it.
Okay.
Dave Tallman, head coach for Magnolia, joining us there. And Billy C., it's one of those things, like he said, and you brought it up too, is you play in that 9:30 segment, especially that Wednesday morning segment. All eyes are watching you because the anticipation of the basketball state championship for the boys is finally underway.
Yeah, they seem to be, and I think he seems to be excited that they kind of get to show themselves on that stage at 9:30. But back to an earlier point, anybody that plays in that OVAC tournament, no matter the classification, if you know the basketball up there in that upper Ohio Valley, you are ready. And it really prepares these teams, both on the Ohio and the West Virginia side, for their postseason play. You'll see a lot of teams in that OVAC, and we see them in West Virginia certainly, that have advanced and have done well in postseason, if not making it to the state tournament. Certainly Parkersburg South is in that category. Morgantown in that category, at least on the girls' side. And that's battle testing early, and it does pay off. And I think that certainly was something that Coach talked about that helped the Magnolia team.
And it's something you go back, and as he mentioned, you have a team that got the better of you at the early part of the season. You bounce back, you get into a groove before you roll in there, and then you get that nice win over Monroe. That's something that kind of really vaults you ahead, and then they get the win over Wheeling Central, who happens to be the number one team in the tournament, but he's looking firmly ahead of Greater Beckley.
Did you not get the sense from his voice, man, we want them, because they had a big lead, as he mentioned. Man, they had them on the ropes. How did they let them off? I mean, you talk about probably the biggest disappointment they've had all year. So you bet they want another shot at them, and I'd love to see it happen.
Yeah, it's one of those things of it's just get there. That's the thing. Make one of those 8 slots and punch your ticket to Charleston, and then all bets are off, because it's, as we call it, it's the third season. You have the preseason before non-conference play. That's what starts off the preseason. Conference play throughout the rest of the season, and then postseason. And most importantly, you get in, anything can happen, as we had this evening. Number 4, Sissonville knocks off the first number 1 seed. We have the other 2 number 1 seeds in single A and triple A in the tournament, but not in double A, as Wyoming East falls to the Sissonville Indians.
And let's be honest, this girls' tournament needed a little bit of excitement. Really, for the most part, it's gone to plan. It's gone to script.
Almost chalk.
Almost chalk. So this really threw the old fly in the ointment, and it needed to be done.
Well, you talk about some fly in the ointment. Take away the chalk in the first round in Class AA, because Lincoln's head coach, Rob Hawkins, he erased the chalk in that first-round win over North Marion. We'll talk with him coming up on the other side of the break. We'll step aside for a break now. You're watching and listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
It's the Daily Hoops Roundup, part of BasketballNight.com. Every day we recap the day's scores just for you on all the teams in West Virginia. We'll send followers a tweet at midnight with a link to the Daily Hoops Roundup. And you can also go online at BasketballNight.com and sign up to get an email, and we send that at 8 in the morning to the early birds. We want you to become part of our score reporting crew. If you're in Charleston, we'd like to hear from you on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, at @hoops_roundup. You can also send us a text or email, and we'll make that part of our daily Hoops Roundup. You can send us a text to 304-249-4924, 304-249-4924. Email scores@basketballnight.com, scores@basketballnight.com. Check it all out at basketballnight.com, the Daily Hoops Roundup. Shout out to all the folks sending us tweets tonight and giving us updates on all the games happening in Charleston. We appreciate that, including Lincoln Athletics, the LHS Cougar Crazies, Patrick McGinnis, Michaela Raines, Carrie Dotson, West Virginia Turkey Thug, Tad Wilson, Keith Mason, and Examiner Sports. Join us online and vote in this week's poll. You've got till 11:45 tonight, and then we'll make sure to share the voting results. This week's question: should regionals be pushed back later in a week if the sectionals are delayed? Go to basketballnight.com to vote in this week's poll. You'll see the poll on the right-hand side of the page. You've got till 11:45 tonight. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to Basketball Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
9:32 on this Friday evening. James Collier, Bill Cornwell in studio. Rick Marone, the coach, is up in Charleston, West Virginia on site for the state tournament as the final matchup of semifinals Friday just tipping off. South Charleston, Park South underway. He'll be giving us updates throughout that ball game.
Actually, we're a minute into it, and Park South has a 2-0 lead.
There you go. So
we're really just getting underway.
Yeah, we just tipped off in that break, so we'll keep a check on him. Let's go back to the phone lines now. 855-345-4709. That's how you can get in touch with the show. And joining us there now, the girls coach for the Lincoln High team, Mr. Rob Hawkins. Coach, good evening. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Coach, before we dig into the ball game and the epic upset that you pulled off in the first round, I made the mistake prior to the break. I actually caught it and fixed it, but I have to know, how often do you have people make the mistake of Lincoln County against your team?
It has happened ever since I've been coaching at Lincoln High. Even before there was a Lincoln County High School, we were always called Lincoln County. As a matter of fact, in this year's state tournament program, the star on our team page is smack dab in the middle of Lincoln County. So it's something we've kind of dealt with for a long time.
And that's not unusual because a lot of people call Wayne High School Wayne County High School, which is wrong. So we've seen that here in the Huntington area.
Coach, let's talk about the big win over number 3 North Marion to open up the tournament. 59-55 victory, coming in winners of your last 8. How much did that aid in being able to hold on for that big win over North Marion?
Obviously, we were playing our best basketball late in the season. I think the other thing that really contributed is we had a lot of close games late. So, we were big game tested and close game tested. And so our girls really handled the situation very well. We knew when we got to draw that North Marion's a very good team. Obviously, they're in our conference, and we had played them earlier in the year. And, the girls just stuck it out. got a lead in the first half and had to hold on for dear life in the second.
Coach, I saw your game yesterday, and your team came out, and I think aggressive is definitely the word, especially on the offensive side. You guys were really on fire, and then, of course, in the second half, they make the comeback, and really got to be complimentary to your gals because they did not really panic as things really started kind of falling apart on them. As they just kind of kept on chopping wood. I used the term watching the game, and were able to get that victory over North Marion.
No, that's a great way to describe it because about anything that could go wrong during the third quarter went wrong.
Sure did.
We did a poor job with their press, and they were really playing well defensively. They were turning all of our turnovers into points, and we had a couple missed layups in there that could have stopped the bleeding a little bit. So, all the adversity we faced, the girls really, I like the term chopping wood. They just kept coming back. And when we got to that fourth quarter and it was a 1-point game, I told them, listen, you survived it, now find a way to win it.
Coach, you had an earlier matchup this season with Fairmont Senior, a 3-point loss back on the 21st of January. How much do you go back in the game against North Marion of how much did that physically take away from your team to where by the time you got into that semifinal matchup with Fairmont Senior, the legs were gone, you just didn't have the stamina to push through?
Well, I think obviously it played a little role into it. The biggest thing that happened today was Fairmont Senior just played extremely well. The first time we played them, they did not shoot well from the outside. And, that's kind of our game plan. They're so much bigger than us. We have to sort of give up something. So when we're packing it in, we have to make them make shots. And today they came out, went 6 for 10 from 3 in the first half. And Emily Staller knocked down 4 of 5 early in the game. So once they started knocking down shots, it kind of just put a monkey wrench in our plans for today. So, most of what happened in that game was Fairmont Senior, and I thought their defense really played better today than they had when we played them in January.
Coach, a 19-6 season that you finished for the Lincoln Cougars. Congratulations on a great trip into the state tournament, and thanks for joining us here tonight on the program.
Thanks for having me.
Lincoln head coach Rob Hawkins joining us here on the show. We'll go to Dave Morrison in just a second, but before we do, let's take a check of the Basketball Friday Night scoreboard update. Looking for scores? Look no more. Go to basketballnight.com for all your scores from around the Mountain State. In the girls' side, Super Saturday is set with the exception of one team missing. That's in Class AAA. That game is currently underway as Park South and South Charleston, number 2 versus number 3, currently underway. We'll keep you updated on that game throughout the evening and have an update from head coach Rick Marone throughout the evening as well as he is in attendance of that contest. The winner of that game will get number 1 Morgantown. Tomorrow, Morgantown makes a repeat trip back into the state championship game, trying to make it back-to-back for Jason White's Mohegans. In Class AA, number 2 Fairmont Senior will face number 4 Sissonville as the Indians knock off Wyoming East 55-54 earlier this evening. In Class A, it's all chalk. Number 1 St. Joe, number 2 Wheeling Central. Can someone finally take down St. Joe for the first time, and I believe would be almost 6 years inside the Mountain State?
They're going for a 7-state straight championship.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the boys' side, this tournament will start up Wednesday. We'll go through all of the seedings and the matchups right now. In Class A, number 1 Wheeling Central will face off against number 8 Charleston Catholic. That will play Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. The evening matchup will be number 4 Tug Valley and number 5 Williamstown. Wednesday morning, 9:30 a.m., the first game of the boys' state tournament, number 3 Magnolia, number 6 Clarksburg Notre Dame, and the afternoon session at 1 p.m., number 2 Greater Beckley Christian, and number 7 Tucker County. On the AA side of things, the only undefeated team in boys basketball, number 1 the Polka Dots, will face off against number 8 Ravenswood. That's Thursday evening at 5:30 p.m. Number 4 West Side, number 5 RCB. That's at 9 o'clock Thursday night. The 9:30 a.m. Thursday morning game faces off number 3 Fairmont Senior and number 6 Mingo Central. And then the afternoon session for Thursday afternoon, number 2 Bridgeport, number 7 Bluefield. In Class AAA, it's number 1 Park South and number 8 Musselman They'll lead things off in the evening session Wednesday night at 7:15. Number 4, Martinsburg. Number 5, Woodrow Wilson will play at 11:15 Thursday morning. Number 3, Huntington gets number 6, Greenbrier East Thursday evening at 7:15. And number 2, Hurricane gets number 7, Parkersburg Wednesday morning at 11:15 a.m. That's a check of your basketballnight.com scoreboard update. Let's go back to the phone lines as we'll be joined there from ESPN The Ticket, Mr. Dave Morrison. Dave, good evening. How are you?
Hey, how you guys doing this evening?
Doing wonderful. Dave, before we dive into the girls' basketball tournament, we just went through all of the boys' brackets. And on the boys' side of things in Class AAA, at the beginning of the season, if anyone would have told you there will be no Morgantown, there will be no Capital, there will be no South Charleston, would you have believed a single word they told you?
Not at all. I mean, you look at those teams coming into the season, I think. Now, this AAA bracket, I think everybody knew at the beginning of the year it was going to be a wide-open AAA, but to not have South Charleston, to not have Morgantown, to not have Capital, which, you know, they rose all the way to number 1, it would have been definitely shocking. And I probably would be equally shocked if someone had told me that both of the Region 3 representatives would be from Section 2 with Greenbrier East and Woodrow Wilson advancing to the state tournament. You know, they would have had it, and they did go through the likes of Capital, South Charleston, who was knocked out before that. And to get those two teams, that's never happened before. So a little bit of a shocker there, too. But it is a wide-open AAA field this year.
Dave, let's talk about the girls' tournament. Class Single A, Class AAA, really nothing out of sorts to speak. But Double A getting a nice shaking out of the gate as Lincoln knocks off North Marion 59-55, and then our first number 1 seed falls in the tournament earlier this evening as number 4 Sissonville takes down number 1 Wyoming East. What a ball game for Coach Gaines' team to knock off Gabby Lepardis' led Wyoming East.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people saying that's an upset, and I guess if you look at the seeding, it really is. But you got to remember, Sissonville went to this championship game last year as well and returned a lot of girls from that team. So, and Wyoming's very young, as everybody knows. Gabby Lepardis and Kara Sandy are freshmen. They start 2 sophomores. Reaper Key was the only senior on that team, and they hadn't been to the state tournament, Wyoming East, as a team since 2006. So, you know, you're looking at some young girls who really hadn't been in that situation before. Look at their schedule. They really weren't in a situation where it came down to, the last 2 or 3 minutes. I think they were up 7 with about 2:23, 2:29 left, and just kind of let it get away. You got to credit Sissonville for doing everything they had to do at the end of the game to win that game. And I believe they had a freshman who stepped up and hit a big 3, Michaela Long, I think, with the 3 that gave them the lead. And from there, they just kind of got away from Wyoming East at the end of the game. And that happens when you have a young team. And like I said, they've not been in that situation before. I think this is a team that, I've said it before, and I'm on the record saying it, I think Wyoming East is going to win multiple titles. They've got a great young nucleus coming back and some help actually from some 8th graders who have played really well that they're expecting big things from. So I think you're going to hear from Wyoming East in the next 3 years.
Dave, on the other side of that bracket, number 2 Fairmont Senior flexes its muscle in the semis with the 30-point win over Lincoln, but had to survive the storm as number 7 Bridgeport trying to pull off the upset. But Fairmont Senior, a team that started the year 1-2, has now won 23 in a row. Is there a hotter team in the state, maybe other than the Polka Dots on the boys' side, than Fairmont East Fairmont Senior right now?
There's not a hotter team, and I tell you what, I was talking to Wayne Ryan from Summers County before the tournament, and he said, "You look at this Fairmont team, you got to consider them the favorite, even though Wyoming East was the top seed, because they've been down there for 2 years. They just couldn't get over the hump. Had some bad situations, had some things that went against them in the state tournament, and when you're returning a lot of seniors who have been in that situation 2 or 3 times, you know, that's going to feed you, much like I think it will Wyoming East, but no, there's not a hotter team, and I would say going into the tournament, they would probably be the favorite, and they have run off just an incredible 23 wins in a row. I do think that they'll win the state championship tomorrow.
Dave, in Class Single A, does Wheeling Central have the goods to take down St. Joe, or does St. Joe cut down the Nets for the 7th time in a row?
Well, that's been the question for the last 2 or 3 years. I think really even longer than that. Nobody's been able to solve that riddle against St. Joe in the state championship. Wheeling Central, a very good team. They have a great point guard. They have some inside play. Now, talking to people, I haven't seen them last year several times. A lot of those girls back, and talking to people, they didn't think they'd play quite the schedule that they needed to get through into the state championship game. Well, they've done that, and all it takes is one game. Just play. If they play incredibly well, they can win. But St. Joe, such a tough customer come state championship Saturday.
And Dave, that's such an amazing record for St. Joe to not lose to a West Virginia team in over half a decade.
Yeah, that's. I'm trying to think of something similar on the boys' side, and I really can't come up with.
I can't either.
Maybe Martinsburg in football.
Maybe
until this year when Capital beat them.
Right.
That might be something similar right there. Different sport. But, it is incredible what they put together down there at St. Joe. And, they're just on a super high. It's going to take really some kind of effort for anyone. Is it Wheeling Central tomorrow? We'll wait and see. But it's going to take a really, really super effort to knock them off the throne as the queens, I guess you'd say,
exactly.
Of girls basketball in single A.
And as you mentioned, I kind of think Wheeling Central took a little bit of the page out of the St. Joe playbook, playing a tougher schedule, playing some more out-of-state teams to test them and to prepare them for the postseason. So I think that they did. They kind of, not saying they copied it, but they kind of sort of followed the lead of St. Joe.
Well, they play a lot of teams in Ohio because they're right there across the Ohio River from Ohio, and the OVAC obviously covers both states. So they do play several out-of-state teams. It's kind of strange when you cover it there because you hear Bridgeport, and immediately, if you're not from that area, you think, they're playing Bridgeport tonight. Wow. But it's Bridgeport, Ohio.
Exactly.
That's a nice little history there. But, I think that Wheeling Central really, really have to play almost a perfect game to beat St. Joe. They've been in this situation so many times. Think about the seniors. They don't know anything but winning state championships.
Exactly.
So I think there's a lot to be said for having the experience playing in that situation.
Dave Morrison from ESPN The Ticket joining us here on the show. Dave, always a pleasure. Take care. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, guys, take care. Have a good show.
Thank you so much. We got to step aside and take a break. When we come back, Fairmont Senior Polar Bears girls head coach Corey Hines joins us to talk about his appearance tomorrow in the state championship game for Class AA. He will face off against the Sissonville Indians, and we'll talk to him next. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Well, high school basketball action in West Virginia is heating up as the teams are now in Charleston for the state championships. You can stay up to date with all the teams' progress on all the championship games right here at Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, and we give you daily updates at basketballnight.com. Thanks to everyone tonight that's called, sent text, tweets, and emails. We appreciate you being part of the show too and helping us cover all high school basketball in West Virginia. Join us on the phone tonight and share your team's game. Call toll-free 1-855-345-4709, 855-345-4709. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Text the show at 304-249-4924, 304-249-4924. Go to our website, check out the scoreboard, and find out how you can connect with Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, the fastest 3 hours on the radio. A shout out to all the folks sending us tweets via Twitter and updates, including Darius Dillard, Gabe Maskey, Grader Beckley, Craig Dutton, Tyler Croston, who's a new follower tonight. Welcome to the Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia family. Lincoln Athletics, Tad Wilson, Melody Nicely. RHS Devil Ed Basketball, 100 High School. Jamie Colebank, a new follower, 2 tonight. And Phrases for Girls, also a new follower. Follow us on Twitter, @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, the Mountain State's voice for everything high school basketball.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Marone, James Collier, and Ryan Epling.
9:50 on this rainy and cool Friday evening here in Huntington, West Virginia. James Collier, Bill Cornwell in studio. Rick Marone up in Charleston, West Virginia. One final game to play in semifinals Friday. Park South and South Charleston. Billy C., you got an update?
Got the update. 7:12 left to go in the first half, and it's Parkersburg South with a 19-12 lead over the South Charleston Black Eagles. Anna Hayton, 7 points, leading the way for Parkersburg South.
Winner gets tomorrow evening. Morgantown, 7:15 for the Class AAA title. Loser season over. We'll keep you up to date. At the half, I expect we'll hear from Coach Marone. He is in attendance up for the state tournament. He'll give us a call and give us an update for all the first half of action. Let's go back to the phone lines, 855-345-4709. That's how you can be a part of this week's show. Joining us now, the head coach for the girls' Fairmont Senior Polar Bears, Corey Hines, joining us now. Coach, congratulations on the win and the berth now into the state title game tomorrow against Sissonville.
Hey, thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
Well, Coach, let's talk first about a little bit of a scare to open up the tournament. Bridgeport gives you all that you want. You come away with a 6-point win, but really settle things down, take out Lincoln by 30. Tell me the differences that you saw in the first two games, and was there some nerves that maybe played into part of that Bridgeport game that really settled itself down as you got into the game against Lincoln?
The differences, if you ask my parents, they'll say the officiating.
Well, that's always one of the things you go to there.
If y'all want to, I got to make y'all smile a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But honestly, I think the difference is some of the nerves. We and it really wasn't from some of our younger kids. Our younger kids kind of came in and held things together. It was some of the kids that's been there. I'm not going to say that they were nervous. I think that they came in and we would say a little overzealous. We wasn't executing like we usually do. And plus, we had a little adversity as far as one of our players getting injured in practice. So that was on their mind a little bit. And then plus you have a great coach in Paul Ayers who did a great job with Bridgeport. So they were really prepared. And they did a great job too.
Coach, you come in against the game against Lincoln. You settle down. You come away with a 30-point win. Did you notice, was Lincoln physically and even mentally spent from everything that they had to put in to pull off the upset win over North Marion when they came into your matchup?
Well, what I noticed with them is that I'm not going to say that they were spent because Coach Hawkins had them prepared. He did a great job. It's just the fact that sometimes, when you sometimes you face a buzzsaw, and Emily and them was on fire, and they jumped, so we was able to jump on them real quick offensively, which enabled us to play looser on defense and do a few different things, and we tried to not let their two players get off. I know a lot of people were saying that was an upset against North, but I mean when you play a team 3 times, I think because they've seen them in conference. I know they unfortunately lost the 2 games in the conference, but then you get that third opportunity. Those kids was real hungry, so I think they took advantage of their opportunity. So when they came to play us, I don't think that they came in saying that we were tired. I think they came in with the same they was wanting the same thing to happen, but unfortunately for them, we started off real hot, and we was thankful for the opportunity that we received by getting another opportunity after the Bridgeport game.
Coach, I know you were doing your due diligence and scouting that Sissonville, Wyoming East game that finished about 45 minutes ago. We were kind of following it here on our computers, and but obviously you were looking at it from a coach's perspective, but also that was just a fun game to watch, especially the way it came down to the end.
Oh yeah, two great teams. They both played really hard, and you got two really good coaches. So you got a Wyoming East team that a lot younger kids, and they're probably going to be on the scene for quite a while.
Yeah.
And then you got Coach Geen, like I call him Job. I call him Job because he can coach boys and girls. So you have to have the patience to be able to coach boys and girls and still be able to make it throughout the day. So that man. I give him the utmost respect.
Coach, one final question before we let you go. You started the season 1-2. Would you have ever dreamed in your wildest dreams that after that start you run off 23 straight and you're now 32 minutes away from cutting down the nets in Charleston?
To be honest with you, I thought we should have started off 3-0. That was our mindset. I mean. But you take those games to see where you stand. I mean, we played a great Morgantown team. As you can see, Morgantown is still doing it. We played a Willand Park team, and then we played a North Marion team. Sometimes you need those games to sit there and let you know what you need to work on. It allowed some of our kids to get healthy. It also gave some of our younger kids time to get some experience. So, I mean, if we win this thing tomorrow, by all means, man, I do give it up to the fact that we played a tough schedule and that, we were able to get some younger kids ready. So sometimes you have to do those things, It's not about how you start. It's really about how you finish.
Head coach from the Fairmont Senior Polar Bears, Corey Hines. His team will meet up with number 4 Sissonville tomorrow for the Class AA Girls Championship. Coach, congratulations. Best of luck tomorrow in the game.
Hey, thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much. We'll go right back to the phone lines as we'll move over to Class Single A as the head coach from St. Joe, Mr. Shannon Lewis, joins us now. Coach, thanks for joining us, and congratulations on returning to the state championship for, now the 7th time in a row.
Thank you very much.
Coach, let's talk about coming into the tournament. This season, again, you play a very tough schedule. You have some ups and some downs, but really finding your groove again at the latter part of the season as you move into conference play and into the tournament. How much did that really help you get your team ready and back to the tournament and the championship game for the 7th year in a row?
Well, obviously, just like you're saying there before, the Fairmont coach, you feel you have to play a tough schedule to get your kids prepared for what's going to happen here at the end of the season. And, we had a bunch of new faces on the floor this year. We graduated a lot of kids, and they needed some tough games, some experience out there against some good competition. And we were fortunate enough to be able to do that. And, we feel like we're hitting our stride here at the end of the season, and kids are getting to know each other, know their roles, and we feel like we're playing our best basketball right now.
Coach, your last loss this season was to an Ashland, Kentucky team, the winners of the 16th region, a very good Ashland team that just fell to a Henderson County team in the state championship. How much you go out of state, you play teams against Virginia, a couple of teams out of Kentucky, some teams out of Ohio. How much does that really help, being able to see different styles of play from other states that really prepares you for that run in Charleston that you seemingly find yourself in every year?
Well, it most definitely gets us prepared for that. Like you said, each different style we're going to see down the road, we'll face in those teams, and some big girls that's hard to guard around the basket, some athletic guards, teams that shoot it well and spread you out. So it gets you prepared for anything that may come here in tournament time.
You mentioned, Shannon, that you had so many holes to fill on the club with 4 girls going to Division I schools graduating last year. But there are good genes in the Johnson family. And talk about the impact that Michelle Johnson's had leading your ball club after certainly the loss of her sister Michael, who's at Notre Dame and doing great things.
Well, that was definitely the thing we had to have out of Michelle was leadership. And we turned the basketball over to her, made her our point guard this year, and it was a work in progress. She had to find the way to lead the team, and it took her, to get the confidence of the kids and get everybody's role established. It took 2/3 of the season, over half the season to do that, but it seems like our older kids have been able to mentor them younger kids. And like I said, we're playing good ball right now, but we got a tough matchup tomorrow.
Head coach for St. Joe girls, Shannon Lewis, has his team back in the state championship, trying to cut down lucky number 7. If they do it, it'll be their 10th win in a row. They'll match up tomorrow against number 2 Wheeling Central up in Charleston, 12 noon tip-off for the Single A Girls State Championship. Coach Lewis, thanks for taking the time out. Good luck tomorrow in the game.
Thank you very much.
We'll step aside for a break. When we come back, it's cause time, as Rick Kozlowski from the Martinsburg Journal will join us. We'll also hear from our resident referee, Bo Anderson, at some point throughout the segment, plus your phone calls, 855-345-4709. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Special thanks tonight to all of our affiliates. You can listen to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia throughout the Mountain State on great radio stations, including Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM WIRCLP in Spencer, 97.9 FM WSPWLP Parkersburg, 91.5 FM WRSG Middleburn Knights Radio, 106.7 FM WHFI Linside, 101.9 FM and 1290 AM WVOW Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZ LP Edmond Beckley, 101.7 FM WYAPLP Clay, and 88.1 FM WMUL in Huntington. Cable subscribers can find Basketball Friday Night in Huntington on Comcast Channel 25 and in the Huntington region on Armstrong Digital Channel 204. Streaming online high-definition video can be found on our website, basketballnight.com, and on affiliate rsnsports.com. Listen online with any computer or mobile device by going to basketballnight.com and click on Listen Live. Congratulations to Emily Stoller, Caden Whaley, Mackenzie Barker, Jared West, Jadarian Wade, Gage Wicks, Gavin Nichols, Elijah Cuffey, Cody Maynard, Steve Hairston, and Carrie Lahota. What they have all in common is they were selected by Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia as a Standout Athlete of the Week, and there'll be another one tonight, right here, announced on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. The Mountain State's voice for everything high school basketball.
This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Heard statewide on great radio stations. Visit basketballnight.com to find the station nearest you. Get all the scores all the time at basketballnight.com or on Twitter at @hoops_roundup. Now back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
10:03 on this Friday the 13th. I had to mention that at some point. James Collier, Bill Cornwell.
Second straight month of a Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I had another one last month. I was actually on the road for Marshall softball on that one.
Right.
But good to be
I was
back
here.
Yeah, good to be back in studio. Ryan Epling, he's at home. We say good hello to him. I believe he's tuned in, listening along, feeling a little under the weather. Hope he's good to go and back quickly. He'll be back in studio next week. Coach Rick Marone up in Charleston. He'll be calling in for an update on the South Charleston and Park South game. Park South flexing its muscle in the first half. Just under a minute left, 14-point lead for the Patriots last time we checked. But before we go back to the phone lines, Billy C., let's check the scores for the Girls State Tournament up in Charleston.
All right, if you're looking for scores, look no further. We got all the scores from the West Virginia High School Basketball Tournament. Of course, in Class Single A, we talked about it just moments ago. Huntington St. Joe takes care of Charleston Catholic, their rivals, 51-27. And it was Wheeling Central in Class Single A over Tucker County, 52-40, setting up the St. Joe Wheeling Central Class Single A Championship game tomorrow at noon at the Charleston Civic Center Coliseum. Earlier today, Class AA Fairmont Senior takes care of Lincoln, 65-35. And about an hour ago, this one wrapped up an upset as the top seed in Class AA Wyoming East loses to the Sissonville Indians 55-54. A come-from-behind effort gets Sissonville the win. That sets up a Fairmont Senior Sissonville AA final tomorrow, tipping off at 2:30 at the Charleston Civic Center. Earlier today in Class AAA, Morgantown, the Lady Mohegans take care of Huntington High 48-42. And they'll be taking on the winner of a game now underway. And it is at halftime. And it is Parkersburg South 37-21 lead over the South Charleston Black Eagles. Kia Bartlett, 16 points, 9 rebounds for Anna Hayton. Some big numbers being rolled up for the Parkersburg South Lady Patriots. So look, if things stay the same, it'll be Morgantown, Parkersburg South Class AAA Championship tomorrow evening at 7:15. We'll see if South Charleston can compete a little bit in the second half and make it a game against the Lady Patriots.
You know, last year it was the same matchup, Park South, Morgantown, and Morgantown. It was the fourth time they had played. The Mohicans get the better of the Patriots in that fourth and final time. This year, the one and only loss Morgantown has, that was to Park South.
Park South.
67-60. Morgantown's had some close games, a couple 10-point wins, or one 10-point win over Logan, and then went to overtime with Logan, 67-60, the final on that one. But we'll definitely see how that one shapes up. But right now, Park South is rolling and looking to have a collision course repeat matchup for the state title tomorrow, 7:15. The Class AAA matchups will tip off. So we'll check on scores coming up a little bit later on, but let's go back to the phone lines as we'll be joined from the Martinsburg Journal. It's Cause time.
All right.
Well, Cause, I'm disappointed. I thought for sure that you have a new grandson and they don't even bring you in with any music, my friend. Hey, there it is.
I found myself seeking shelter against the wind.
Cause, congratulations. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Well, thank you very much. It's wonderful to have a new grandbaby. I did a back and forth to Charleston last Saturday. Got home in time to turn the clock ahead and get to the hospital and at 3:39. The little, well, I guess it wasn't too little, 8 pounds, 5 ounces, and 20 inches. Remy Harper arrived.
Well, most important question, mother and baby doing okay?
Yeah, they're doing fine. Grandfather, he's running around a little bit.
Well, you know, it's that means your age is catching up to you, Cause.
Maybe they should have played Cats in the Cradle before you came on, by the way. That'd have been good.
Yeah.
Cause
I'm up in California, Pennsylvania tonight.
Okay. Well, let's talk some basketball.
Well, let me give you a little basketball here. I know we talk high school, but a big night for the Mountain East Conference in the NCAA Division II Atlantic region. Both Shepherd and West Liberty women came away with victories today.
So there's a little bit of outside of high school basketball. Cause always full of knowledge. Now drop some high school knowledge on us, Cause. Girls basketball Super Saturday coming up tomorrow. Boys tip off coming up Wednesday up in the Charleston Civic Center. Any surprises so far that you've noticed in the girls' side of girls basketball? And the boys, certainly some big names in Class AAA being left out. Any of those that come as a shocker to you?
Well, certainly South Charleston and Morgantown not being there surprised me. And on the girls' side, I'm glad I was listening to your scoreboard because I've been so busy I haven't been keeping up. But I guess, a little surprised that Wyoming East went down tonight. Yeah. But it's, I think, AAA boys. Wow, lots of opportunities for whomever is hot this coming week.
One of the hottest teams right now in the state is Hurricane. They're playing some crazy good basketball, but obviously You've got Park South there at the top, a great Huntington team, and then two teams that I want to talk to you about as well on the boys' side in Class AAA, Martinsburg and Musselman, both of them finding their way into the Class AAA tournament. Martinsburg picks up the 4. They'll play Woodrow Wilson. Musselman, the 8, has Park South. Tell me about these two teams, and could we see some upsets in Class AAA that takes out some early runners?
Well, you never know. When you look at Musselman, this is a team with absolutely no stars. Their leading scorer averages 11.8 points a game. Wasn't even a starter last year. This is a team that graduated 5 starters. They're starting 2 sophomores and a freshman, and realistically, they even say, we're probably a year or 2 away. So, they're going down there, playing top-seeded Parkersburg South with absolutely nothing to lose. And they do have a little bit of confidence in that game, believe it or not, a 1 versus 8, based on the fact that Martinsburg played Parkersburg South in the Big Atlantic Shootout, lost by a single point. Martinsburg had 3 injured starters that game. And we go a little further in the season, and Musselman beat Martinsburg on Martinsburg's home court, had them by 20 points in the 4th quarter. So they feel like, based on that stuff, and any night, you never know who's going to show up, what team's going to show up. We've been seeing that all along in this tournament. So they're going down feeling, hey, we got a shot. Now ever since that defeat by Martinsburg, the Bulldogs have reeled off 6 straight victories, playing really, really well. And they've been facing some gadget types of defenses to try to slow down Jarrell Jones, who, without question, is one of the top players in the state, averaging 24 points. He's been running the team at point guard. He has the ability to kind of take over a game by himself, but they've been running a bunch of gadget defenses, and the rest of the team's been coming along, particularly Josiah Villa, who was one of the injured players. I talked about him a lot last year. I played for the Philippines junior national team before he came to high school. They put him out there at point guard as a freshman. And, there were some growing pains for him. I talked to him last night, and he admitted as much. But since he's come back, he's running a little bit of point guard, but he's mostly at a shooting guard, and he's been giving Martinsburg some good minutes, some scoring with his 3-point shot. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm talking to Dave Rogers, Martinsburg's coach forever, it seems like, and kind of sizing up the Woodrow Wilson game. He's like, he says, neither of us were like what we traditionally were, running up and down, constant up and down the court. He says, we're both more half-court type teams, so it's going to be a little different than some of their past meetings in the state tournament. And of course, they last met 2 years ago when Martinsburg beat Woodrow in a state championship game, 57-52.
Well, Cos will definitely be touching base with you next week as Martinsburg and Musselman square off in the Class AAA state tournament. But for now, hey, enjoy that new grandbaby, and we'll talk to you next Friday.
Okay, and when I found out that Big Daddy wasn't there, I almost hung up the phone.
Man, I'm telling you, Big Daddy, he's a little under the weather, but hopefully he'll be back in studio. You'll talk with him next week as I'm on the road in Charlotte. But I'll give you a nice hello from Charlotte, North Carolina next week from wherever parts unknown you may be for Cosland.
Well, I'll be in Charleston next week, I believe. So.
Okay. Yeah. Good deal. Good deal. Rick Keselowski from the Martinsburg Journal joining us here on the program. Rick, always a pleasure. We'll talk to you soon.
You guys have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Let's go straight back to the phone lines. Joining us now, the head coach of the Greenbrier East boys and girls team of the Spartans. It's Mr. Jim Justice. Jim, good evening. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Doing fine. Thanks for joining us tonight on the program. First off, Jim, it's obviously a very busy season for you, doing double duty, coaching the girls and the boys, and more importantly, putting both of them back in the state tournament. You come up against a very tough South Charleston team. You fall in the opening round by a very close margin, but had a good run with your Spartans. 19-4 you finish out, but no rest for the weary. You got to turn right back around. A 22-3 Greenbrier East boys basketball team, as you'll face up against a good Huntington team Thursday evening in Charleston. Does it ever just seem like that everything runs together and you almost forget what team you're coaching at one point or the other?
Oh, I don't think that, but it does get busy. That's for dadgum sure. And the game last night was disappointing. But our kids have done. The girls' team they've done phenomenally. To tell you the truth, if you would have talked to me before the season started and said, do you think this team can get back to the state tournament in Charleston and finish 19-4, I'd have said there's not a chance on the planet, because we had so many kids that have never played a minute of varsity time. But the kids worked hard and they just kept on slugging along, and really and truly, my hat's off to them. We had a unfortunate go of it last night. Without any question, I really believe I've got the best post player in the state, and she hadn't been in foul trouble a single game all year long, and just bam, bam, bam. We've got 3 quick fouls on her, and they were really strange fouls, to tell you the truth. But and then I've got her on the bench, when she had a second foul, and she really is the kid that helps us get the ball to the floor. Our weakness is overwhelmingly, our inability to be able to handle the ball and handle the pressure in the backcourt, but they just don't have any answer for her when she's able to help us. And when you've got her sitting over on the bench with you, it makes it awful tough.
Jim, switching over on the boys' side, you did something very few folks do, and that is go up to Capitol High School and knock them off to win that Region 3 co-championship with Woodrow Wilson, 55-51 on Tuesday. Talk about the game and how you were able to knock off a team that has been on a roll in recent weeks.
Well, I'll tell you this, just as straightforward, as honest as I could possibly be, our girls' team, it would have been great to have been able to play in the semifinal game. The Parkersburg South and the Morgantown girls' teams are really superior teams to anybody in our state, and it would have taken a colossal effort for us to have been able to have handled either one of those teams and everything, not to take anything away from my girls' team. On the other hand, our boys' team, I really feel like, they're the real deal, and they've got a real shot to win it. There's a lot of teams that are at Charleston on the boys' side that can beat us, but there's nobody there that we can't beat. We've through the course of the year, we lost 3 games. One of the games was Mingo Central, in which I had a couple of kids miss our shoot-around that day, and I had to set them 2 starters, and that really made a great big difference in that game. Then we lost the game at Handley, Virginia, to a Handley team that honestly played a terrific game, a big school, long bus ride, 5-hour bus ride. And the only other game we lost was to Woodrow in the sectional finals. We beat Woodrow in the Big Atlantic, and we were 15 up in that game, and they came back and beat us. But the Capital game was interesting from the standpoint we got 17 up in the first half, and then they made a nice run on us at halftime. We to cut it to 9, and then in the second half, they're a great team. I mean, that's just all there is to it. And you knew they were going to make a run. They went up by 5, and to be perfectly honest, it was a real tribute to our kids to be able to rebound from that with, 5 and after 6 minutes to go in the game. We were down by 5 and came back and won it. But we got a lot of kids on that team, on the boys' team that have really developed. We've got a wonderful bunch of shooters, and we don't have great size, but we got a lot of speed, great ball handlers, great shooters, and a lot of kids that like one another and really enjoyed the season together.
Coach, one final question. You've got number 3 Huntington to start things off in the boys tournament coming up next week. What can you tell me that you've been able to see from this Huntington team? Obviously, Tavian Dunn-Martin, what he does at the point guard position, but then they also have Jalen Pennington, Anthony Meadows that brings so much to Ron Hess's club. What do you do to slow down Huntington and move on into that semifinal round?
Well, you know, there's lots that you've got to contend with Huntington. They've got a great team. They're very, very well coached, and they just do so many things really well. You know, you don't have the time for me to talk about everything that's going to have to be done, but in all honesty, we're just going to have to play a superior game. They have an excellent team, and as do we, but at the same time, it's going to take a colossal effort on our end to be able to handle Huntington.
Number 3 Huntington 20-5. Number 6 Greenbrier East 22-3. That's your 7:15 matchup Thursday evening to start off the boys tournament up in Charleston. The head coach for the Greenbrier East Spartans boys and girls team, Mr. Jim Justice. Jim, thanks for joining us on the program. It was a pleasure.
All right, guys. Thank y'all so much. Thank you for all the great work you do for our state and everybody. Thank you now.
Thank you very much. We got to step aside for a break. When we come back, we'll check the scores up in Charleston. We'll see how the things are going after the half as we start second half between Park South and South Charleston. We'll also check in with our resident referee, Mr. Bo Anderson. That coming up. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
High school basketball action in West Virginia is heating up as all the teams are now either in Charleston or headed to Charleston next week. Stay up to date with your teams and their progress throughout all the state tournaments. You can find all the scores at basketballnight.com. We update them after each game is completed and also during the quarters. So first quarter, halftime, third quarter, you'll get a score on every game going on in Charleston. Thanks to everyone that called, sent texts, tweets, and emails throughout the entire season and also during all the state championship games. We really appreciate you being part of the show and helping us cover all high school basketball in West Virginia. Join us on the phone tonight and share your team's game. You can call toll-free 1-855-345-4709, 855-345-4709. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. You can also text the show while you're in Charleston, 304-249-4924, 304-249-4924. Go to our website, check out the scoreboard, all the brackets, and all the information. And you can go to basketballnight.com and find out how you can connect with the show. Shout out to the folks interacting tonight with us on Twitter, including Marty Full Throttle, Angel Mayhew, Keith Mason, Tad Wilson, Beth, Ron Schaefer, Pam, who's a new follower tonight. Shout out to all of our new followers, and we'll mention you when you follow us on Twitter. You're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, the fastest 3 hours on radio.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Marone, James Collier, and Ryan Epling.
D3 on this Friday evening. James Collier, Bill Cornwell in studio. Rick Marone's up in Charleston, West Virginia at the Girls State Tournament. We'll be checking in with him in a little while. Billy C., you got an update for us from the Park South Charleston contest?
I certainly do, and things have not changed since the last time that we spoke of this game. In fact, it's gotten worse for the South Charleston Black Eagles. 4 minutes near the media timeout time for the radio coverage for Metro News, and it is 42-24. Parkersburg South leading South Charleston in the third quarter. Already 18 points in this game for Kia Bartlett, 11 rebounds for Anna Hayton, and they even have doubles on assist, 11 assists in this game for Taryn McCutcheon.
Taryn McCutcheon, that young cat, can play. She knows how to move the basketball around the court. And
Kalia Cashwell is the leading point getter for South Charleston, but only 5 points.
Certainly sizing up for a 1-2 matchup. Same matchup we saw last year, just roles reversed. Last year, Park South was number 1, Morgantown the 2. This year, flipped the seedings. And it appears like that's the matchup we will have tomorrow night, 7:15, up in Charleston, West Virginia. We go back to the phone lines. It's time for our resident referee, as it's Bo Anderson joining us on the phone lines. All right, Mr. Anderson, let's talk some basketball, my friend. I have to be honest, I've racked the brain trying to think of any crazy thing that I've seen over the last few weeks, and honestly, it's been pretty much straight-up basketball, play it as it is. So I'm going to have to leave this one to you. Bring us to a close as we start to round out this 2014-15 season with something. Bring us some rules knowledge from the man, the myth, the legend, our resident referee, Bo Anderson.
Well, first of all, I want to commend you because I only had to wait for 28 minutes, so you're ahead of Ryan a little bit.
Well, I was trying to save a few minutes because I didn't know how much that you have used your phone this month, and it's still only mid-March, so I don't want to use all of your minutes up in the middle of the season before you have, maybe if you have to wait next week, so who knows. So I'm trying to take care of you here.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. One thing I want to talk about that I've seen a little bit in the games is the free throws. Now, we talked earlier in the year about, you can come in on the release on the free throws. A couple of things I don't think that players understand is that means the marked lane spaces, the 6 people in the lane spaces can enter the lane when the ball's released. The person blocking the shooter out cannot go past the foul line and contact the shooter until the ball hits the rim. Also, the 6 mark lane spaces cannot run out of there and leave and get outside the three-point line until the ball hits the rim. And I've seen a couple of scenarios where, the players made the shot, so I stepped in and told that player that they could not pass the foul line until the ball hits the rim. They can enter the lane, but they cannot back up and contact the shooter until the ball has hit the rim, because the shooter, on the other hand, has the same, they have the same rights. They're not allowed to cross the free throw line until the ball hits the rim. So I've seen a little bit of that not being understood. And then I almost had a play that I haven't had very often the other night in my last game. Players along the lane spaces, if a player fakes going into the lane, if they cause the other team to violate, the only thing that counts is the fake. Therefore, the team that faked will be the only team penalized. And I had a player try to do that the other night, tried to fake a player into the lane, and it was the shooting team that was doing the faking, and had the defense actually stepped in the lane, I'm going to wipe the shooting team shot off. And there was a timeout a little bit after that, and I told one of the assistant coaches, not to interrupt the head coach, but I wanted them to tell them that if that player fakes again and causes a player from the other team to violate, then the fake is the only thing that's going to count. So that's one that I started to go over a little while back, but thought I would mention it since it was, it happened the other night, but the extent of the violation didn't occur because the other team didn't violate.
So it's hard to believe that we are nearing the end of the 2014-15 season. Girls champions will be crowned tomorrow. The boys get going on Wednesday up in Charleston, and that will round things out Saturday evening. Does it seem even possible that even with the Snowmageddon that we had earlier this year, and then backed up with Winter Storm Thor, the heavy rains, but we've really missed many of the disasters, but those snowstorms really compiled onto about a 3-week period that really affected some of the play that we've seen over the last few weeks. But here we are, it's championship weekend for the girls, championship week next week for the boys. Does it seem possible?
No, except for the week whenever it really snowed a lot and I didn't have any games because they all got canceled, the season really flies by fast. It seems like, I just got started and worked my first game the first week of the regular season, and all of a sudden I'm blinking my eyes, and I've finished up the other night with a regional game, and it's just it just really seems it's happened very quickly. And a funny thing the other night, every trip as an official can be an adventure if it's not already one when you get to the game. We were I was at Mingo Central, and a guy at Mingo Central, it was extremely foggy up there, and a guy told my partner, said, now, hey, after the game, you guys be careful going home and watch out for the wild horses. And they said, what? They thought he was kidding. They thought he was kidding, and he said there are at least 40 wild horses running that hillside, and a truck hit one the other day, and it just destroyed the truck. And I said, that's all I need to hear is we're looking for Silver out there with the Long Ranger on it. But, you never know. And then two other things. I know you got other people, but we were on our way to the game, and a school bus had stopped to let kids off and had gotten where the railroad tracks were, and here comes a train, and the arm bar comes down across the school bus. So he's sitting there, and the arm bar is hanging on there, and then whenever the train got by, he had to go head through. Well, then the bar wouldn't go back up, and we're sitting there, we're on our way to the game, and so I'm thinking we're never going to make this, and there's two 18-wheelers in front of us. Then, when we left the game through all the fog, and we got back to Kermit, right at the end, there was a big, bright, flashing blue, and part of the lights dimmed a little, and then there was two more flashes, and all of Kermit, you couldn't see a thing. All the power went out. So, it's an adventure to the game, at the game, and after the game.
Without a doubt. And always, as you said, it's glad that always a good thing to know that you at least were aware of what to expect. Nothing better than driving down the road and then thinking that you're hallucinating when a big horse runs off the side of the hillside and out in front of your vehicle. So, Bo Anderson, my friend, it's always a pleasure talking with you, and we'll talk with you next week, either in studio or on the phone.
Yeah, I'll probably be calling in next week. I may venture up and watch some of the games next Friday. So yeah, I'll be calling in probably. But again, before we go, I continuously hear comments about the show and about what a great show it is and what a good job that you guys do there at the studio with the show. So I'd like to still commend this show. I enjoy listening to it. Even before I'm on, after I'm on, whatever. It's really good, and I've had some other people that continue to pick up listening to this show that think it's absolutely great. So I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Bo Anderson, our resident referee, thank you so much for the comments, and we will talk to you soon.
Okay, you guys have a good evening, and thank you guys.
We got to step aside for a break. When we come back, Lance Sutherland, head coach for the Hurricane Redskins, he'll join us on the phones, as well as we'll check in with our special correspondent, Andrew Harrison, about this week's Standout Athlete of the Week. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Special thanks to all of our affiliates. You can listen on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State, including Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM WYRC-LP in Spencer, 97.9 FM WSPW-LP Parkersburg, 91.5 FM WRSG Middleburn, Knights Radio, 106.7 FM WHFI Linside, 101.9 FM and 1290 AM WVOW Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZ Edmond Beckley, 101.7 FM WYAPLP in Clay, and 88.1 FM WMUL in Huntington. Comcast subscribers can find Basketball Friday Night in Huntington on Comcast Channel 25. In the Huntington region on Armstrong Digital Channel 204. Streaming online high-definition video can be found on our website, basketballnight.com, and on affiliate rsnsports.com. Listen online with any computer or mobile device by going to basketballnight.com and click on Listen Live. Streaming video live from the studios at Marshall University. Visit basketballnight.com for video, audio, and the Basketball Friday Night scoreboard. Call the show tonight. We want to hear from you. Toll free, 855-345-4709. 855-345-4709. Shout out to the folks tweeting us tonight, including 100 High School, Jamie Colbank, Marka York, Sean Ward, and Examiner Sports. You're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, the fastest 3 hours on radio.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to Basketball Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
10:36 on this Friday evening, Friday the 13th. Basketball Friday Night. We're pushing closer to closing out hour number 2 as we'll check real quickly. Park South at the end of 3 leads South Charleston 56-27. We'll hear from Rick Marone. He's up in Charleston, West Virginia at the conclusion of that ball game. James Collier, Bill Cornwell in studio, joined now on set with Andrew Harrison. Andrew, our special correspondent for the Standout Athlete of the Week. And Andrew, this week's Standout Athlete of the Week is?
Wheeling Park High School's Toddy Goodwin Rowe.
Toddy Goodwin Rowe, this week's Standout Athlete of the Week. Tell us a little bit about our Standout Athlete of the Week, what really brought him to the forefront and makes him stand out from everyone else.
Well, the Goodwin part of Goodwin Rowe has been synonymous with Wheeling Park basketball for years, James. And it's kind of, if you go to the 80s, the 90s, and even his cousin is Buddy Goodwin, who's a 3-time All-Stater here in West Virginia. And he's part of an honors program, James.
Well, it's Andrew had some more opportunities to really dig into more about our Standout Athlete of the Week. Let's have a listen to that now.
Park Patriots senior point guard Toddy Goodwin Rowe led the Patriots to a 14-9 record this season, and he is this week's Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. The senior captain averaged 9.5 points per game and 3.5 assists, while shooting 77% from the free throw line. Wheeling Park High School head basketball coach Michael Jebbia says Goodwin Rowe may be quiet, but was willing to do whatever the team needed to get a win.
I would say he's a quiet kid on the court, but he's a competitor, and he's going to do whatever we need. There's games where we needed him to score for us. There's games where we beat South Charleston, who was number 3 in the state. He had 7 points, 6 assists, no turnovers, and just a real durable player. Not many games did he come out.
Toddy Goodwin Rowe spent his last 2 years of his high school career at Wheeling Park. Before that, he was in private school at Lindsley, which is also in Wheeling. Coach Jebbia says even though it was a transition for Goodwin Rowe, he made the adjustments and has excelled in his 2 years at Wheeling Park.
When he came to Wheeling Park, a bigger public school, there was a transition there as a junior, and he adjusted very well. He's very well liked in the school community, teachers, staff, students.
The Wheeling Park Patriots leader was able to take the next step when the Patriots lost 3 players to injuries during the 2014-15 season. Goodwin Rowe has family members who have played at Wheeling Park and Lindsley. Wheeling Park Athletic Director Dwayne Rogers says Toddy has represented his family and school in a positive way.
Always we talk about representing your family in a positive way. You only have one name, and that's Goodwin in this case. I feel really good about that. I think he's a gentleman who will continue to represent his family as well as his high school, in this case, Wheeling Park High School, in a very, very positive way. I think he will continue wherever he goes. They're getting a good young man.
Toddy has been in youth camps and has played the game of basketball since he was little, able to transition from private school to a public high school and not let anything affect the classroom as his grade point average is of 4.57. Unquestionable in his approach to get better, Goodwin Rowe has made steps towards success in his future life. For Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, I'm Special Correspondent Andrew Harrison.
Andrew, this is a young man that really brings a lot on the court, but also excels in the classroom off the court as well.
Yeah, he's part of an honors program. As you know, his GPA is really high there in school. But he takes part in youth programs as well, basketball camps, anything that has to be involved with youth and leadership and trying to care for the community. That's something he works upon, and something Athletic Director Rogers also told me. He said he works in soup kitchens. So this is a kid who's all around well-rounded individual who cares not only about the school but about the community.
Wheeling Park's Toddy Goodwin Rowe, our standout athlete of the week. We'll hear from him in the 11 o'clock hour. Andrew, always a pleasure.
Oh, it's a pleasure, man.
Into the third, South Charleston trails Park South 56-27. We'll check on that score a little bit later on. Let's go back to the phone lines. Now joining us there, the head coach of the Hurricane High School Redskins, Lance Sutherland. Coach, good evening. How are you?
Good. How you all doing?
Doing wonderful. Thanks for joining us, Coach. A nice run right now for your Redskins. Winners of 14 straight. That's the best streak in Class AAA. But you guys are peaking at the best time of the season, really rolling after getting two nice wins over Huntington in mid-season and been shooting the basketball rather well. And it's always nice to have a couple guys with the name of Rogaszewski and Dawson in the backcourt.
Yeah, it helps a lot. Just their experience, their leadership. I mean, it's just what they bring to the table is you just can't measure.
Of course, in your win over Spring Valley on the Tuesday night in the regional final, you were driving a Ford, so to speak, Brandon Ford.
Yeah, and
was
Brandon
great.
Brandon has come on strong in the second half of the season. It just took him a while to get his basketball feet under him after not playing last year, and then coming out of football. So we knew it was going to take a while, and he finally developed into the player we thought he could. But the thing what I'm more impressed with is his defense. His defense has just been stellar the last 5 or 6 games.
Coach, one of the things that you really have going for you right now, too, is when you turn to the bench and someone has to come on and give minutes to those normal 5 that start for you, you're not seeing a drop-off. They're giving you quality minutes, they're moving the basketball, and they're really attacking defensively the way that you want to attack teams, and that's something that's really set you head and shoulders above the other teams in Class AAA as of now.
Yeah, Braxton Dobert and Jake McClellan have done wonders. And this is Jake McClellan's first year ever playing, and Braxton's a sophomore. So, again, it took us just a while to get the pieces together. And, probably started with the Parkersburg game back in January is when things really started clicking for us. And having the bench, that 6-man, which is something we've always had in the past, like last year was JT, year before that it was Garrett DeFries. So we've had that 6-man, and Jake and Braxton have kind of combined that to do that for us this year.
You mentioned, Lance, that you had that win over Parkersburg. Obviously, you're going to be playing them on Wednesday morning at 11:15 Open State Tournament, and it always helps to have a little familiarity. But Coach Millo's team's playing some good basketball right now. What have you been able to see in some of your preparation for Parkersburg?
They are. They remind me a lot of what we were doing at this time last year, and Coach Millo does a great job. And they seem to be hitting their shots more than they were earlier in the season. It seems like their offensive end has picked it up a little bit, and their defense. Always, when you get your offense going, your defense always comes right on with it. So, they're playing really, really good basketball right now, and probably one of the hottest teams around. So it's going to be interesting, to say the least.
Coach, nothing to take away from the teams in the upper half of the bracket with Parkersburg, Musselman, Martinsburg, and Woodrow Wilson, but a very loaded bracket in the bottom half of that AAA classification. Greenbrier, East, Huntington, your team, and Parkersburg. Should you move past Parkersburg, you're right out of the kettle into the fire with Huntington or Greenbrier East, whoever moves on there, just to get yourself back into the state finals for the second year in a row.
Yeah, this is what I've been saying all year. AAA this year is just wide open. 1 through 8, you can pick any one of those, and any one of them can win it. So, it's just amazing to me how wide open the AAA is this year. But yeah, when you talk about Parkersburg South and you talk about Greenbrier East and Huntington, you know, those teams are just they're loaded, and it's just running the gauntlet. You know, at this time of year, you got to be good, but you also got to have some luck. So hopefully, all that comes to us as we get into it.
Mountain State Athletic Conference obviously gets you prepared. Half the field in the AAA is MSAC members, plus Greenbrier East, you know, only a couple of years removed from the MSAC. Obviously, every night you're playing tough teams, and that does get you ready.
Right, it does. And I'm one of those that I think that, you know, you got 22 games, and I think your schedule, they're all preseason, so I try to make our schedule as about as tough as I possibly can. I mean, our out-of-conference schedule this year was Polka. We played them twice. The weather got us the second time. We played Wesley Christian. We played Huntington was our MSAC game. You know, Winfield. I mean, and Madison Central out of Kentucky. So I want our schedule to be tough, night in, night out, to prepare us for this time of the year. And in high school basketball, you can do that regardless of class, regardless of who you're playing. You set that schedule up to hopefully prepare you for this time right now.
Lance, dial back 1 year ago. You were one shot away from not making the epic run that you started last season in this state tournament, and that was against the same team that you just defeated in the regionals, Spring Valley.
Yeah.
But after that shot falls, it vaults you into Charleston. You come up 1 point short of the eventual champion of Huntington in that state championship game. What a game that was. But this group of kids that you have, baseball state champions, basketball runner-up. Now they're back in the state championship as the number 2 seed. What is it about this group of kids, and how much did that state championship run last year really bring the confidence to this group?
I think it brought a lot. This group, and that's what I've been telling everybody, this group of kids, I don't care what situation you throw them into, they never, ever get rattled. I mean, I've never seen them upset. I've never seen them flustered. You know, sometimes when I've been coaching in the past, you look at kids and they're just scared. This group of kids doesn't do that. I mean, you know, you got Trey and JT on the baseball end. You got Dylan and Brandon in the football end. And they just, it's not confidence that I want to say they exude. It's just they're calm. They're just, you know, even keel. They don't get too high. They don't get too low. They approach everything in a business-like manner, and it's amazing. I really have never seen that type of approach from kids this age, and I can't really put my finger on what it is that this class possesses, but it is. It's just they're just even keel, and they approach it, you know, as it's business, and let's go get it taken care of.
What a crazy thought to think of the play that Rogaszewski and Dawson put out every night onto the hardwood. They're even better out on the diamond as Rogaszewski's headed to North Carolina. Dawson down to play for the Tigers of LSU. The head coach for the Hurricane Redskins, Lance Sutherland, joining us here on the program. Coach, thanks for joining us tonight, and good luck next week in the tournament.
Hey, thanks for having me, and I appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Coach.
Thanks,
Take
Lance.
care. We'll step aside for a break. We come back. We'll hear from the head coach for RCB, Bill Bennett, as well as a player from that Hurricane team, Trey Dawson. That's coming up right after this. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Join us online and vote in this week's poll. You've got till 11:45 tonight, and then we'll share the voting results. Last week, 51% of you agreed. The snow day policy for athletics, whether to play or practice, should be at the coach or athletic director's discretion. This week's question, should regionals be able to be pushed back later in the week in the event that sectional games are delayed? Go to basketballnight.com and vote in this week's poll. You'll see the poll on the right-hand side of the page, and you've got till 11:45 tonight to vote. We'll share the results at the end of the show this evening. Basketball Friday Night, West Virginia's high school basketball voice. Congratulations tonight to Toddy Goodwin Rowe from Wheeling Park, the selected Standout Athlete of the Week. If you have someone remarkable on your team, or an athlete that made an outstanding play, you can nominate your team's players to become the Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. Each week, we consider nominees based on leadership, performance on the court, academic performance, involvement in the community, and volunteer work. Every Friday night, we select a Standout Athlete of the Week. Head over to our website, basketballnight.com, and click on the Standout Athlete of the Week tab. Fill out the nomination form, and we'll take it from there. We want you to nominate your team's athletes. Check it all out at basketballnight.com. Shout out tonight to the folks tweeting us, including Darius Dillard, Gabe Massey, Grader Beckley, Craig Dutton, and Tyler Croston, a new follower tonight. You're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, the fastest 3 hours on the radio.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Marone, James Collier, and Ryan Epling.
10:50 on this Friday evening, Friday the 13th. James Collier, Bill Cornwell in studio. Rick Marone up in Charleston, West Virginia at the Girls State Tournament. We'll check in with him in just a little bit. We've got Trey Dawson and Bill Bennett coming up. But before we do that, let's check some scores up in the Girls State Tournament right here on your scoreboard update. Let's set the stage for the Girls Championship Saturday matchups in Class Single A. No surprise here. Number 1, St. Joe. Number 2, Wheeling Central. Wheeling Central with a 12-point win today over Tucker County. St. Joe eases past Charleston Catholic 51-27. St. Joe goes for its 7th consecutive state title tomorrow afternoon. High noon tip-off against Wheeling Central. In Class AA, number 2 Fairmont Senior with a 30-point win over Lincoln 65-35. And the upset of the tournament thus far, as Sissonville knocks off Wyoming East 55-54. So it's number 4 Sissonville, number 2 Fairmont Senior tomorrow afternoon in the Charleston Civic Center for the AA Championship. Currently underway, Park South is rolling over South Charleston in that number 2 versus number 3 matchup. The winner of that game will get number 1 Morgantown. Morgantown defeated Huntington earlier today, 48-42. So the Mohicans await the winner of the Patriots and the Black Eagles. And the South Charleston Black Eagles quickly running out of time. That's a check of your basketballnight.com scoreboard update. Let's go back to the phone lines now as we just talked with the head coach for the Hurricane Redskins. We'll talk to one of his players who has really been instrumental in orchestrating the run that this Hurricane Redskins team has been able to put together. It's Trey Dawson joining us here on the program. Trey, good evening. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing wonderful. Thanks for joining us tonight. And first off, congratulations on that regional championship and getting your team back into Charleston for the 2nd consecutive year.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and thank you. I appreciate that, and we're looking forward to it next week.
Trey, I just asked your coach the same question at the end of our interview, but I'm really going to go back and have you pick up from this point. You played Spring Valley last year in a game that came down to the final shot. It was an 81-80 victory over the Timberwolves, but that really vaulted this Hurricane team into the run it's making. Runner-up basketball championship. You run through the AAA side of the baseball championship, and now you find yourself back in the state title as a number 2 seed. Was that the defining moment for this team that really started the greatness that we're seeing coming from Hurricane?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that shows that we can face adversity no matter what is brung upon us. And, we really just came as a team going into those last stretch of the season, especially into the state tournament, and Coach has just been like that all my 4 years, and, we brought it again this year.
Saw a lot of course, James and I were at your game the other night, and it seems like you guys in Spring Valley, you always have good games, good competitive games, and noticed during the game and even after, a lot of respect between yourselves, and certainly you and Rogo and the standouts for Spring Valley, Smiley Kilgore and Greg Herbert.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, those two are two great players. I mean, I've played against those two my whole high school career, and I have the utmost respect for both of those kids, and I really appreciate them being nice to me and JT all throughout the career.
Trey, this year, one of the things that you've had, as Coach talked about, you've always had a sixth man that you can go to off the bench. But this year, it's been 7, 8, 9 that's been able to really step up and give you some minutes. How instrumental is that going to be of pushing this team into that state title game once again, and more importantly, being able to cut down those nets in Charleston?
Absolutely. I mean, the way we play with our tempo on our defense, that's just huge to go 7, 8 deep. I mean, we got Jake McClellan and Braxton Dobert and Ryan Midkiff and all these kids that can just come in and they know their roles and to play defense and set some screens on offense and just get the guys open on offense that need to be open. And they're going to be big coming down the stretch.
Trey, you open up the tournament next Wednesday morning, 11:15, against a team that you have some familiarity with, a fellow MSAC member in the Parkersburg Big Reds, and played them a little while ago. You got a win with them, and in fact, Coach Sutherland said that was probably one of the good impetus wins you guys have had this year. Is it kind of comfortable knowing that you have some familiarity with this first-round opponent?
Yeah, it is, but I mean, this is a state tournament. I mean, you can't lay down when it comes to any team right here, and you can't take any team lightly. I mean, we won comfortably. I think we won by like 25 or something, but that's early in the year, and this is a different team, and I know they have 2 or 3 playmakers on that team that we'll have to really focus on, and if we don't play good, we're going to get beat.
From Hurricane standout player Trey Dawson, not only does he stand out on the hardwood, this kid can flash some leather out at shortstop as he's headed to LSU to continue his baseball career. Trey Dawson, thanks for joining us here on the program. Best of luck next week in the Boys State Championship.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
We'll go right back to the phone lines. Joining us there now, the head coach for RCB, Mr. Bill Bennett. Bill, good evening. How are you, sir?
Good evening, guys. How are you?
Doing wonderful. Thanks for joining us, Coach. Back in the state championship once again. RCB, you'll face up against number 4 Westside after picking up the number 5 seed. Let's talk a little bit about your season and how it's really led you back into the state tournament and in match up against Westside.
Well, it's been a different season. With the crazy weather that we've had and everything, and we got off to a little bit of a slow start. We were without our point guard Cameron Carvelli, who has started for us since he was a freshman. For our first 4 games, and the schedule was kind of brutal. 2 of those games were against Polka and Fairmont Senior. So, and that was difficult. And then we had like 5 of our top, I believe 9 guys were football players. Our football team made a run in the playoffs, so those guys were a little slow getting in the basketball mode. And at one point in time, I think after the Morgantown loss in January, we were like 4-4. And, really struggling a little bit. And, a lot of expectations were on us with, 4 starters back from last year's team. But again, there were just some things thrown at us there that were kind of out of our control, and we just kind of tried to work our way through them. Went through a period, felt like we were starting to play a little bit, and then went through a period there in February after we played Wyoming East at the Civic Center. I think that was on February 11th, and didn't play again for 14 days. And only practiced, I think, twice in those 14 days, just because of the rule that we have here. So, that was difficult, but we came out of that. It seemed like our kids were ready to play when we came out of that layoff. We went to Philip Barber on a Wednesday night, supposed to be a Tuesday night game, and they didn't have school, so couldn't play. So we went up there on Wednesday and played really well. Came back home for senior night. Against Morgantown High, who at the time that the rankings had just come out, and they were number 1 in the state. We were able to get a victory that night, and then 2 nights later, a makeup game at home against Fairmont Senior, and was able to win that one. So we kind of started putting it together there at the last part of the season, and the kids kind of gained some confidence and just started playing well, really when it matters, I guess.
Coach Bennett, certainly getting to the state tournament is no small task. And looking at the bracket in AA, and you looked at the fact that you've got 2 teams very familiar with you, with Fairmont Senior and Bridgeport along there with you, it shows you the quality of AA basketball up in North Central West Virginia this year.
Yeah, it has been. You know, the last couple of years we've been blessed to have some really good teams up this way, and our conference has just been kind of been super competitive, you know, and our conference is kind of strange because we got some AAA schools in there too, you know, but with us and Fairmont Senior and Bridgeport, and then you throw Preston in there as well, who has been really good the last couple of years. So, you know, basketball in our league has been really good, and I think it's caused our teams to get better competing against each other, not just during the season, but the kids are pretty familiar with each other from the summer leagues, and you know, the summer league in Fairmont, and the shootout that we have at our gym every summer. You know, West Side comes up to it. Coach Cook brings his kids up every summer, so we're familiar with them too, and just helps basketball a great deal up in this part of the state.
Number 4, West Side, 18-2. Number 5, Robert Seabird, 16-6. That's your matchup. 9 p.m. Thursday in the Charleston Civic Center, the boys' state tournament. Bill Bennett joining us here on the program. Coach, good luck next week. Thanks for taking the time out of your evening to join us here on Basketball Friday Night.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me, and thanks for the show that you guys put on.
We greatly appreciate that, Coach. Thanks so much. Take care.
You too.
We will step aside for a break. When we come back, it's our standout athlete of the week. It's Wheeling Park's Toddy Goodwin Rowe. That's coming up right after this. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Special thanks tonight to all of our affiliates. You can listen to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State, including Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM WYRC-LP in Spencer, 97.9 FM WSPW-LP in Parkersburg, Knights Radio, 91.5 FM WRSG Middleburn, 106.7 FM WHFI Linside, 101.9 FM and 1290 AM WVOW Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZ-LP Edmond Beckley, 101.7 FM WYAP-LP in Clay, 88.1 FM WMUL in Huntington. Cable subscribers can find Basketball Friday Night in the Huntington area on Comcast, Channel 25, and Armstrong Digital Channel 204. Streaming online high-definition video can be found on our website, basketballnight.com, and on affiliate rsnsports.com. Listen online with any computer or mobile device by going to basketballnight.com and click on Listen Live. Join us online and vote in this week's poll. You've got till 11:45 tonight, and then we'll make sure we share the voting results. Should regionals be able to be pushed back later in the week in the event that sectionals are delayed? Go to basketballnight.com and let us know what you think. Welcome to Basketball Friday Night, Friday the 13th version. We hope you enjoy all of tonight's spooky characters, including Coach Rick Marone hovering over the Charleston Civic Center, along with our own Friday the 13th cast. Andrew Harrison, Alice Likens, Braxton Crisp, Nicholas Collier, Mike Stanley, and Marcus Constantino. Now back to our hosts, our own spooky Bill Cornwell and James Collier.
11:03 on this Friday the 13th, and thank God, 57 minutes away, and I don't have to say that again for about another 6 months. Holy shnikey. Friday the 13th here as we get you ready for the final settings for the Girls State Championship. Championship Saturday. Let's go and check the scoreboard update and get those to you now. Looking for scores? Look no more. Go to basketballnight.com to find all of your scores from around the Mountain State. Super Saturday is set. Here is the lineup for your girls' state title. Tomorrow at 12 noon, it's number 1 St. Joe, number 2 Wheeling Central. These two teams, it's a repeat of the 2012 state title game that St. Joe knocked off Wheeling Central 57-49. St. Joe is trying to go for its 7th consecutive state title. The last team to knock off St. Joe in that state title game?
Wheeling Central.
Wheeling Central. That was back in 2008, a 41-37 victory. Over on the AA side, number 4 Sissonville knocks off the number 1 team in the tournament, the Wyoming East Warriors, and they now match up with number 2 Fairmont Senior. This will be Sissonville's return trip back to the state title, as they fell in the title game last year to Westside 43-33. That game, the afternoon matchup. And then 7:15 for all the marbles in Class AAA. It's a rematch of last year's championship game. Except for this year, the seedings have been flipped. It's number 1 Morgantown and number 2 Parkersburg South. That's Parkersburg South, the Spences of South Charleston, 64-41 in the semifinal matchup tonight. We'll hear from Coach Rick Marone in just a few moments. So number 1 Morgantown, number 2 Park South. We'll tip it up tomorrow evening at 7:15. Morgantown knocked off Park South in that game last year, 46-39, after falling to Park South 3 times prior to that meeting. That's checkofyourbasketballnight.com scoreboard update. All right, let's go to the phones now, as we talked a little bit earlier with our special correspondent Andrew Harrison about our standout athlete of the week. If you have an athlete that you would like to nominate, go to our website, basketballnight.com. Click on the icon, fill out all the information, and as our executive producer says, we'll take it from there. But this week's standout athlete of the week from Wheeling Park, it's Toddy Goodwin-Rowe. Toddy, good evening. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
Doing wonderful. First off, congratulations on the recipient of the Athlete of the Week. And let's talk a little bit about, first off, your basketball season this year. Wheeling Park coming in, you finish the season 14-9. You fall in the last game of the season to the Parkersburg team 51-48 in the sectional championship. But let's talk a little bit about your season. It was an up and down season, but you guys definitely had some great opportunities, including that nice win right before you headed into sectionals over South Charleston.
Yeah, I think we had a nice season. We had a couple stars go down with some knee injuries, but we got together as a team and picked it up, and were able to accomplish some stuff this year.
Toddy, you do so.
Wins.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm good. That's it.
You do so much on the court for your team, but the stuff that you also do off the court, working with basketball camps, working in soup kitchens, what is it that you like to go out and be a member of the public and really give back to the people that maybe don't get the opportunities that you have gotten?
I think I'm blessed, so I think that I should go out and help people that aren't as blessed as I am, and give them a better opportunity, and let everybody know that I'm a nice person and all that. Give back.
When you get an opportunity, when you get an opportunity to work with the kids in the camps, how much fun is that to really get an opportunity to give back from the game that was given to you?
It's really fun, especially with the kids around here, knowing that they're going to be in my shoes one day, so I get to put a smile on their faces because they look up to me, look up to everybody else around the community, and it's just fun seeing them participate and have fun with their games.
This week's Standout Athlete of the Week, Wheeling Park's Toddy Goodwin-Rowe here on Basketball Friday Night. Toddy, congratulations on the award, and young man, keep up the good work that you're doing on and off the court for your community.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us here. We'll go back to the phone lines now. Coach Rick Barone up in Charleston, West Virginia. Coach, turn the lights out, clean up some popcorn, get to bed. You've got a big day tomorrow. 3 championship games now in the book. Park South rolls over South Charleston and now faces up with that rematch with Morgantown tomorrow in the championship game in AAA.
Yeah, I tell you what, James, it's been a full day today, and it ended with a dominating performance by Parkersburg South. Of course, Taryn McCutcheon leading that ball club, Kia Bartlett and company. It was a total team effort. Got a little physical and chippy down the stretch, but South Charleston really had no answers for the inside-out attack of Park South, and they really look like a team that's poised to try and regain that AAA championship that was taken away by Morgantown, and should make a great marquee matchup tomorrow night. And James, I'll tell you what, 3 great matchups tomorrow. You mentioned Wheeling Central and St. Joe's will go at it in the single A, and the double A game, put a little asterisk beside that because that is a rematch from last year's semifinals when Sissonville ended Fairmont Senior's attempt to win the state championship. And Fairmont Senior played Sissonville during the season at Sissonville, got a 5-point win, 54-49. And I tell you what, Emily Stoller for Fairmont Senior came out today with a purpose. She had 16 points in the first quarter of their win over Lincoln, hit 4 threes. She's a 6-foot point guard that's headed to Cleveland State. And Sissonville's going to have to dig into the reserves. They pulled a rabbit out of the hat tonight against Wyoming East, and they're going to have their hands full. It should make a great championship Saturday.
Well, Coach, it sounds like some great matchups on tap tomorrow up in Charleston. 12 o'clock tip-off. That will start single A. Afternoon segment, we'll do double A, and then we'll round things out at 7:15 tomorrow night and cut down the nets for Class AAA. Coach, I've got a special assignment for you before you head out. I know you have to go get something to eat. Goodness knows we love our food in this business, but can you see if you can track down Park South's head coach and even possibly Taryn McCutcheon to see if they can join us on the program before we finish up the show tonight at midnight?
Yeah, we'll try and track them down. They've actually got some obligations, with the media procedure they run here. They've got to spend some time in the media room, but we will put the word out. And I know you guys are in your Friday 13th mode, and I am hovering over the Civic Center, and I will try and rather ghoulishly try and sneak into some areas and see if we can round them up and let you talk to them about the game tomorrow night.
Coach, we'll talk to you in just a bit. Thanks so much for your help up in Charleston.
All right, man. Thank you all very much. Have a great show.
Thank you.
And Coach makes a good point. The coaches and the at least 3 players go to a post-game press conference in both the girls and the boys tournament, and it is done very much like the NCAA tournament. They have a setup with as far as microphones, and they have little nameplates for all the players and coaches.
They have to go in and do their media obligations.
It is very well done, very professionally done, and credit to the SSAC for doing it that way. And I know that a lot of the kids a lot of times are a little nervous when they face those cameras and microphones because they don't usually see that many media covering their games. But it's a good learning experience for them and certainly gets them ready for if they take it to the next level and play college ball.
Bill Cornwell, we have about 3 minutes before we go to our next break, and we're still waiting on our next callers to get lined up for a segment. So I know there's a topic that we wanted to discuss a little bit.
And this ties to our poll question
ties
tonight.
Right into our poll question. Still, you have until 11:45 tonight to vote. Go to basketballnight.com to cast your vote for this week's poll question. But Winter Storm Thor really wrecked the sectionals, the regional tournament for the state of West Virginia in the boys and the girls side. Mostly the boys. The girls are able to get everything in. But one of the really the recipients of some bad luck was Region 4 Section 2.
Yeah.
They had to run basically a state championship 4-game series, 3 games in 4 days, I should say, just to get into the state tournament, where some other teams maybe had a couple extra days to sit because they were able to play on that Friday night.
Their sectional was 3 days late,
So,
thanks to the weather.
Is it something that because we have a week built in front of those regionals before they start state tournament, should the regionals be moved? Should the SSAC look at this and say something has to change? We can't force one team to have to play 3 nights out of 4 days and the other team that they're going to face be able to rest for 2 days?
Short answer, Yes, but it has to be common sense. This was a unique situation, James, and I know that the SSAC has their rules and their standards, but you got to use a little common sense. And for folks who don't understand what we're talking about, that sectional was 3 days late. Logan, it was Lincoln County, Huntington, and Spring Valley. They were supposed to play at Cabell Midland on Wednesday night. Well, we get the bad rainstorm. And the folks at Logan, to be honest with you, were fearful that either they couldn't get out because of floodwaters or they couldn't get back home because of floodwaters. We can understand that. And and then the snow hits. But the snow moves away, thank goodness. On Saturday, they play the sectional out there at Cabell Midland, and Spring Valley beats Logan. Huntington beats Lincoln County. No one plays on Sunday. Across the river in Ohio, they do play on Sundays.
Kentucky does as well.
Kentucky does as well, but we don't play on Sundays in West Virginia, and the SSAC is explicit on that in the rule books. So the two teams came back on Monday, played sectional final. Huntington gets Spring Valley and gets the sectional title. But of course, both teams have the regionals, but it's the next night. And no offense to the teams that they were facing, the St. Albans Red Dragons and the Hurricane Redskins. Hurricane Coach Sutherland, Hurricane fans, we mean no disrespect to you. That this is not your fault. But, of course, you did take on a Spring Valley team that had played the night before for a sectional title, and they did not have rest. The Redskins and the Red Dragons had 2 days rest and were a little fresher. Of course, the way Huntington's been playing, it didn't matter.
Yeah, Huntington is playing some good basketball.
They soundly
right now as
defeated St. Albans up at Highlander Mountain here in Huntington, but it was a tough one. And you and I were at the game, and it was very evident in the eyes and in the body language of the Spring Valley Timberwolves that they were not fresh. They did not have their legs. It showed in their shooting.
Yeah, a lot of the shots, no arch, more flat right on the front of the rim, and a lot of shots short.
And certainly Hurricane did what they needed to do. They took advantage. They put pressure, as they always do, and that pressure definitely had effect. So, again, it's no offense to Hurricane, to Coach Lance Sutherland, to you Hurricane Redskin fans. Don't throw brickbats at us. But we're talking about the SACC. In this case, could use a little bit of common sense. I mean, we're even saying you get an extra day rest too. You could have 3 days rest, but in this case, a Spring Valley, and even a Huntington should have had maybe 1 day to kind of get their legs back.
Spring Valley and Huntington almost was forced to have to play an NBA schedule to try to get through the regionals. And again, when you play a team such as Coach Sutherland's Hurricane Redskins, they get up in your face. They're going to press you for 32 minutes. He's not going to call the dogs off. That's the style of basketball he plays. And right now,
and more power to him.
He can go 10 deep on the bench and still be able to put people up and continue to play the style that he wants to play.
So I definitely think that in the future, SSAC needs to use a little bit of common sense, and if we need to take an extra day to get these regionals done, do it for the quality of basketball and for the health of the players.
Absolutely. And talking about that Hurricane team, I said it back whenever Hurricane hung 103 on Spring Valley. Yeah. I said it again in that regional title. If Hurricane continues to shoot and play as stifling as defense of what it's playing right now, there's not a team in the state of West Virginia that will beat that Hurricane Redskin team. We'll take a break now at 11:17. We come back. We'll continue going to the phones. We got Alan Osborne, the head coach of the Polka Dots. His team, let's see, last time they lost this season? Oh, wait, they haven't. 24-0, the Dots, as they march into the state tournament as the number 1 seed in Class AA. We'll talk with Coach Osborne and your phone calls coming up right after this. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
You're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, the Mountain State's voice for all things high school basketball. Congratulations to Toddy Goodwin-Rowe tonight. Toddy joins Emily Stoller, Caden Whaley, Mackenzie Barker, Jared West, Jadarian Wade, Gage Wicks, Gavin Nichols, Elijah Cuffey, Cody Maynard, Stephen Hairston, and Carrie LaHoda. What they all have in common is they were selected by Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia as the Standout Athlete of the Week. Have someone remarkable on your team? Did you have an athlete make an outstanding play? You can nominate your team's players to become the Basketball Friday Night Standout Athlete of the Week. Each week we consider nominees based on leadership performance on the court, academic performance, involvement in the community, and volunteer work. Every Friday night, we select a Standout Athlete of the Week. Head over to our website, basketballnight.com, and click on the Standout Athlete of the Week tab. Fill out the nomination form, and we'll take it from there. We want you to nominate your team's athletes. Check it out at basketballnight.com. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, the Mountain State's voice for all things high school basketball. We also want you to join us online and vote in this week's poll. You've got till 11:45 tonight, and then we'll share the voting results with you. Last week, 51% of you agreed the snow day policy for athletics, whether to play or practice, should be left to the coach or athletic director. This week, we want to know, should regionals be able to be pushed back later in the week in the event that sectional games are delayed? It's all at basketballnight.com.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Marone, James Collier, and Ryan Epling.
11:20 on this Friday evening, rainy Friday evening here in Huntington, West Virginia. James Collier, Bill Cornwell in studio. We've got Rick Marone running around like a chicken with its head cut off up in Charleston, West Virginia, trying to track down a few players and coaches. We got Scott Stevens, the head coach for Park South, coming up in just a little bit. But we'll go straight to the phone lines. The head coach of the undefeated Polka Dots out of Class AA, Mr. Alan Osborne, joins us there. Coach, good evening. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Coach, doing wonderful. Thanks for joining us. I said it before the break. Let's look back on the schedule and find your last loss. Oh, wait, there hasn't been any. This is a team that is rolling 24 in a row this season. What is it about this team that has really just found its niche, and whether it come AA, AAA, all comers take on this Polka Dots team, and you've come out on top?
Well, we've got an outstanding bunch of young men who really play well together, and they share the ball, and defensively we've really been solid, and we just had good team play, and you know they don't care who scores, they just want to win, and they do the extra things that good teams do. They make the extra pass, they help and recover on defense, and it's a fun bunch to coach, and like I said, they're great kids.
Yeah, Coach, everybody knows about the Frampton boys and Cuffy, but they are certainly team players. All three have great ability, but you watch your team, and they incorporate everyone into the attack, and they're very active on the defensive side as well.
Yeah, last game we had all 5 players in double figures, and Matt Chandler, who's really been solid for us all year long, he had 16 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 blocks in our regional game, and Christian Buckley had 15 points and 6 rebounds. So, all of our guys contribute, and like I said, they play well together, and they share the ball. We're averaging 17 assists for 25 field goals a game this year, so that's pretty good. And defensively, we're only giving up 39 points a game, and our defense has really stepped it up against Nicholas County in the sectional. We didn't give up a field goal for the first half and the first 2 minutes of the second half, and actually held them scoreless until 1 minute to go in the first half, and then we played a really good Sissonville team in the finals and held them to below 30% field goal shooting and held their top scorer to 1 point, and then Wayne in the regional held them to 14% shooting, and their top scorer didn't score. So we've been really happy with our defense and our team play, and it's everything's a team concept. So as long as we continue working together and playing hard, and I think we're going to have a pretty good team, pretty good chance to do some good things in Charleston. We got a really tough opponent in the first round, but when you get state tournament, they're all tough.
Coach, going back through your schedule, and it's kind of crazy to think this, but you've had one game this year that you had an opponent that was within 10 points of you, and that was against Chapmanville. Everything else other than that has been 15 plus. And you talked about that Nicholas County game. It was 35-1 at halftime. And defensively, what you guys have been able to do, as you said, holding your opponents well under 40 points a game. The Frampton kid, or the kids, I should say, as well as Cuffey, just a mixture of players that you're able to throw at your opponents. And it's like you said, it's the next guy up, not mattering who gets the stats that night as long as everybody on the team gets the win.
Yeah, I tell you, we've like I said, we're real fortunate. We got some really good players. You know, we got Noah Frampton and Matt Chandler, and they've been 3-year starters. And Christian Buckley, he's a senior. Those guys have been a leader, and we got 2 sophomores that they play like seniors, and that's Luke and Elijah, and they're long and they got good speed and quickness, and they know how to play the game, and you know, defensively, we really work hard on the defense in the floor because we feel if we can play good defense, we're going to be in bell every game we play and have a chance to win. And then if we can not throw the ball away and take good shots, we take our chances. But they're good, solid players, and like I said, they're fun to coach. They come to work every day, and attitude's good, and good students, good people on and off the court. So it's a great bunch of kids.
Coach, you talk about the Frampton boys, and you said they play like seniors as sophomores. It's crazy to think of what you have awaiting possibly in the future with this team the way it's rolling right now. And you have a lot of youth that is really stepping up and playing as upperclassmen, but they still have 2 more years to go down the road. This is a Poca team that could really put together something special over the next 3 years.
Yeah, Elijah Cuffey is a hard-working young man. I tell you, he's a gym rat. Every day he's in the gym. He comes in at 7 o'clock in the morning and shoots, and he's always stays after, and he's really worked hard, and he's a sophomore. And of course, Luke's a sophomore, and our JV team went 19-1. So, the future's bright, but we just got to keep working and trying to get better every day. And we don't talk a whole lot about winning and losing. We just talk about trying to get better and improving and getting to the next game.
JV varsity 43-1. I would take that every day of the week and twice on Sundays.
Yeah, we're pretty well pleased with it. Like I say, and we've just we got it's you have runs in high school, and we've got a good run of basketball players at Poca High School, and they understand how to play, and they've been together for a long time, and we just hope we can keep playing. And but though we got sophomores, we've got a good mixture of kids, and then we got a couple of juniors, Caden Meeks, who comes off the bench for us and has really been playing well. And we got Austin Heinrichs, a junior who's been injured a lot of part of the season. We're just now getting him back full speed. And then we got another sophomore, Chase Dotson, who we think is going to be a pretty good player. So he's a sophomore, 6'4" sophomore. So like I say, it's future's bright. But right now we're just trying to get ready for Ravenswood and see what's going to happen in Charleston next week, because there's Double A is just, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I really think the 8 best teams are there, and Ravenswood, I tell you, they're good. They've got a couple of shooters on the wings. They got a big post guy, got some quickness at guard, and they don't make mistakes. They take care of the ball and take good shots, and they're going to be a hard out. It's going to be a tough game for us.
Talk about how your players have handled the undefeated record. We've watched your team, and then we've watched nationally, watched Kentucky and Coach Calipari, and how their kids have handled it, and how your kids, as the wins pile on, how they handled the fact, hey, we haven't lost a game.
Well, we try to stay humble and hungry and healthy. It's the 3 H's. But,
that's good.
To be honest with you, we really haven't talked about being undefeated. I guess it's kind of like a pitcher, who's pitching a no-hitter. You don't talk about it. But we just try to stay away from winning and losing and trying to be as good as we can be, and play as hard as we can play. And if we try to execute on both ends of the floor, and wins will take care of themselves. And we just think that if we just do the right things, we have a chance. And don't talk about it. So I'm sure they do. I'm sure there people talk to them about it and all that stuff. But around practice and in the locker room, they're pretty focused, and I hope they continue to do that.
Coach Alan Osborne from the Polka Dots, 24-0. They'll face off against Ravenswood, the number 8 seed, in next week's Boys State Tournament in Class AA Thursday, 5:30 p.m. tip-off. Coach, good luck in the tournament, and thanks for joining us here on the program.
Hey, thanks for having us. I really appreciate what all you guys do for basketball. This is a great show, and it really promotes basketball in the state. And I've been a state a long time coach, and I appreciate all the things you guys do to help high school basketball.
Coach, thanks so much. We greatly appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Hey, thank you.
Let's go right back to the phone lines before we take our 11:30 break. This gentleman, we definitely want to get him in and get him to bed because he has definitely put in the hours this week. Speedy Bevins, Metro News, joining us now.
He may not be so speedy right now.
I think that was a left-handed. He's really old.
Oh, my goodness.
Kind of introduction there.
Speedy, you've been in attendance for every single game this week. We move in now to Super Saturday, Championship Saturday, AAA now set as Park South gets past South Charleston. That sets up a rematch of last year's championship game between Morgantown and Park South. Is this a 15-round heavyweight bout that's setting up for the fans tomorrow evening at 7:15?
I think it's going to be a great crowd. I really do. And the reason I say that is so many people are aware of the individual records of Parkersburg South and Morgantown and the key players like a Liv Segi or a Tara McCutcheon. I think this reaches beyond the Parkersburg South and Morgantown fan base to where the average person who just says, hey, you know what, this could be entertaining, I'm going to drop down my $5 and go, and they're going to get good entertainment. I think the crowd is really going to respond to this tomorrow night because it is a marquee matchup. The two signature programs right now in Class AAA and two of the signature players with Segi and McCutcheon.
Class AA, we get our first big upset of the tournament as Sissonville pulls off the win over number 1 Wyoming East. Great battle there between the Indians and the Warriors in which Sissonville comes from behind, down 7 late, and comes away with a 1-point win. They now get Fairmont Senior in the finals. This should be a great battle coming up tomorrow afternoon.
It should be a great battle as Fairmont Senior, they won a couple of AAA championships in the late 90s. Sissonville also, I think, had a couple of I know Sissonville won a AA championship around 2004, 2005. But Sissonville is so small, and to watch the intensity that they bring to the game, and even when they're down, they're never out. Rich Skeen just has this team that continually plays hard. Pinkerton and Jones can just light it up from anywhere on the floor. They've got a freshman in Long who shoots the deep 3 ball. Fairmont Senior looked overpowering today in the first quarter against Lincoln. They just ran out to a 16-point advantage. They've got the size inside. They've got the quickness with Horton at the guard. And then they've got Stoller, the point guard, a 6'1" point guard who's off to Cleveland State, who can do anything on the basketball floor. They are a complete team. But Sissonville, I think, they've got grit. They've got Rich Skeen coaching them. This is going to be a good matchup tomorrow as well.
Speedy, tomorrow at noon, it's the Single A Championship, and there's been some whispers around the state. Maybe this is the year that you get St. Joe. They're young. They have some inexperienced people, but guess what? They're back going for a 7th straight state championship. But they are going to be challenged by a talented Wheeling Central club tomorrow afternoon.
Wheeling Central is indeed a very talented team. Baker, Waha, Bennington, 3 quality players there. They did a good job in winning their quarterfinal round game or semifinal round game today against Tucker County. St. Joe, in the meantime, I had not seen them play until this week, and it's just like watching St. Joe. I mean, they do the same things that the Griffin Dempsey and the Michael Johnson and the Asia Patini team did, run the same sets, get the same results. It's really incredible the job Shannon Lewis has done this year. That is going to be a very intriguing matchup at noon.
The last time St. Joe fell in that title game, it was Wheeling Central back in 2008 that knocked off St. Joe 41-37. This will be the 3rd time in the last 8 years these two teams have met in the finals. Speedy Bevins, go get some rest, my friend, and enjoy tomorrow's
right, guys.
Saturday
We'll see you tomorrow.
afternoon. Thanks so much, Speedy. Talk
All
to you
right,
soon.
thanks for having me on. Uh-huh.
We will step aside and take a break. When we come back, the head coach of the Morgantown Mohegans, Jason White, his team will go for a back-to-back repeat trip for the state championship in Class AAA tomorrow as they'll face off against the Park South Patriots. That's coming up on the other side of the break. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Special thanks tonight to all of our great affiliates. You can listen to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State, including Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM WIRCLP in Spencer, 97.9 FM WSPWLP in Parkersburg, Knights Radio, 91.5 FM WRSG in Middleburn, 106.7 FM WHFI Linside, 101.9 FM and 1290 AM WVOW Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZLP Edmond, Beckley, 101.7 FM WYAPLP Clay, and 88.1 FM WMUL in Huntington. Cable subscribers can find Basketball Friday Night Video in the Huntington area on Comcast Channel 25 and Armstrong Digital Channel 204. Streaming online high-definition video can also be found on our website, basketballnight.com, and on affiliate, rsnsports.com. Listen online with any computer or mobile device by going to basketballnight.com and click on Listen Live. Join us online. There's some time left. You've got till 11:45, a few minutes, to vote on this week's poll question. Should regionals be able to be pushed back later in the week in the event that sectional games are delayed? We want to hear from you. Go to basketballnight.com. You'll see the poll on the right-hand side of the page. We'll tell you what the results are tonight. You're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Marone, James Collier, and Ryan Epling.
11:36 on this Friday the 13th. James Collier, Bill Cornwell here in studio. We got Rick Marone cruising around up in Charleston, West Virginia.
They may turn the lights out on him.
Yeah, they may do it. I guarantee you they'll run him out of the press room. He's back there trying to find his last niche of food. That's what he's always after. He's a goofy guy, but yeah, he's done a great job for us up there in Charleston.
Usually by this time of the night, you're down to a few greasy potato chips.
Yeah, I was
at
going
the
to say
bottom of the bowl.
there's some potato chips and maybe a few floaties of ice over in the soda machine. That's all that's left. But Coach Marone been up there all week long, hitting us up with all the updates and stuff. He'll be up there tomorrow to finish out the girls segment. But Ryan Epling, under the weather, he'll be back with us next week. Let's go to the phone lines as the head coach for the Mohegans, Jason White, joins us there. Coach, congratulations on your return trip to the state championship game, and thanks for joining us here tonight on the program.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, guys. Always appreciate it.
Coach, let's talk about this matchup. Take last year's matchup and just flip the seeds. It's the same two teams, except this year you're the number one seed and the only blemish on the record this season to this Park South team. But tell me about the matchup, what the expectations are, and a Park South team that comes in playing some really good basketball.
It's been 3 great matchups with them this season. We probably couldn't have picked a more familiar opponent. You know, they're so well coached. They play so hard. They're so talented that man, it's a heck of a game for us, and we're thankful for the opportunity to be playing in a state title game. So, if you're a fan of basketball, it doesn't matter boys or girls. If you can get to the Civic Center tomorrow at 7:15, you're going to see one heck of a matchup.
Let's talk about your team's win over Huntington. This was a Huntington team that pulled one out of the depths of defeat from Spring Valley earlier in the week. And it comes in, you appear to have this game wrapped up, but Huntington makes another charge at you. You hold off the Highlanders and with a 6-point win. But this was a good Huntington team that really pushed you to the edge. What do you take away from that game that you take into that Park South game tomorrow evening?
Well, I look at that game and our rebounding was not as well as it needed to be. We got out rebounded in the game, especially on the offensive end. They had so many more second chance opportunities than we did because we didn't do a good job of getting them off the boards, and we turned the ball over a few too many times in the game. And like you said, we had an opportunity kind of maybe to put them away, and we didn't. And you got to give Huntington a lot of credit. They didn't give up. They kept playing, and they made a nice run late at us. And our kids did a nice job of staying poised enough to hold them off and knock down some foul shots down the stretch to pull out the win. But if anything that can help us for tomorrow night, it's rebounding the basketball and knowing that we have to execute better on the offensive end against a very talented Parkersburg South team.
Coach, talk a little bit about operations during the tournament. Obviously, it's kind of unusual. Spend some time in a hotel, spend time together a little longer than usual as a team. How do you treat it? Do you set curfews for your young ladies, or how does your operation work there with the state tournament?
Well, we try to give our kids an itinerary before we come down, and we keep it very detailed, and we try to stick right to that itinerary so that there's no guessing about what's going to happen or kids being unsure of what's going to happen next. It's very regimented, and we're a creature of habit. We like to do the same things over and over again so our kids feel very comfortable with what's going on, because things are so familiar. So we shoot around at approximately the same time every day at Charleston Catholic. We like to get a little practice in, and we go and eat at familiar places. We eat our pregame meal at the Marriott every day, 3 hours before game time, and everything's just really routine, and we try to keep it that way so that kids can feel very comfortable and kind of relaxed because they know what to expect. I think the experience of doing it last year has helped. Most of the kids that we have with us, of the 14 kids that we have with us, 10 of those kids were, part of this game a year ago, 9 of those kids were a part of it this time a year ago. So they have the experience with knowing what to expect because they've done it before.
Coach, the one final question for you before we let you get to bed and try to get some rest before tomorrow, but the spark plug of this team, she's by size on the court, but, man, she brings such a big play when she steps up. Olivia Segi, tell me about what she brings to this team and how big that she plays for your program.
She brings the heart that's the size of a lion. I mean, she's 5'3", but she plays about 6'3". She plays so hard. It's undeniable if you're in the stands and you ever get a chance to watch her play of the heart that kid has. She leaves everything on the floor. She plays with unbelievable quickness and speed on the floor, and she is the unquestionable leader of our group. And however she goes, the rest of the kids go, and there's no second guessing her. She's definitely in charge and in command, and that's what you want out of your point guard. And we have a great relationship, and I'm able to get on her and say some things to her that maybe some other kids might take negatively or look at the wrong way, but it motivates her to be even better. And man, she's so important to us. She's such a leader and such a great kid.
Jason White, the head coach for the Morgantown Mohicans, goes for back-to-back state titles tomorrow evening in the final episode of the 2015 Girls Basketball State Championship up in Charleston, West Virginia, with a rematch from last year's title game against the Park South Patriots. Coach White, thanks for joining us here tonight. Best of luck tomorrow in the game.
Hey, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Coach. Take care. We'll go right back to the phone lines before we hit our final break, as we have a player. She's a familiar voice that we've had on the program a few times here and there. She's a member of the Logan Wildcats, but she had another accolade that added to her resume before she dons the green and white for the Thundering Herd under Matt Daniel, the head coach for the Marshall Thundering Herd. She is now the West Virginia Gatorade Player of the Year. From Logan, it's Shayna Gore. Shayna, good evening. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing wonderful. Thanks for joining us. Congratulations on the award. Shayna, this is something that you've had the All-State, you've played in the state championship, you've cut down nets, but now you, according to Gatorade, are the best player in the state of West Virginia. How important and special is that to you after your season came to an abrupt end to finish out with such a high accolade and an honor before you start your collegiate career?
Well, I was surprised when I was first told that I won Gatorade Player of the Year because there's a lot of good other girls out there in West Virginia, and I've played against most of them: Olivia, Stogey, Taryn, Maddie, Sarah, Abby, all of them, and they're the best I've seen too. And it was really an honor, and I was really shocked because where we got beat out in sectionals, and I didn't make it to the state tournament. I didn't know if I was going to be seen enough or not to win it. But when when my mom told me the other day at school, teachers were wondering what was wrong with me because I was screaming and didn't know what to think. It was really just a shock to me, but I'm very thankful for the award and to represent West Virginia.
Shayna, has it set in yet that even though your high school career is over, you start to look forward to putting on the green and white, but you're going to look across the court and see someone else other than Kevin Gertz standing on the sideline coaching you?
Yeah, it's going to be different. He's already making jokes how he wants to move to Huntington and be around me and stuff.
Huntington's not big enough for Kevin Gertz.
I know.
First off, Coach, go ahead, Shayna.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Coach Daniel actually could have used you a couple of nights ago. He was still pretty shorthanded with.
I actually just saw him at the state tournament. I watched state tournament games this evening, and he came up to me and asked me if I was sore because I started workouts this week with my dad. They sent me their workout program, and my thighs have been hurting me so bad. He comes up to me and starts shaking me and asking me if I was nervous.
It's good. It's good for you, Shayna. It adds character. So, Shayna, one final question. You put away the gold and blue. You traded in for the green and white. You come to Marshall University next fall, and you start as a freshman in Matt Daniels' program. What do you look ahead at looking forward that you want to add to your basketball career that you have already not experienced?
I want to make history at Marshall. I want to win our conference. That's something Marshall hasn't done in a while, or probably hasn't ever. But I'm looking to come in and work hard and give Coach Daniel the best I got, all I got, every day, every practice, every game, and to get some playing time as a freshman because I know there's going to be a lot of recruits come in, and we're all going to be fighting for the same spot and same playing time. So I'm just going to give him all I got, and we're going to change history down there at Marshall.
Exactly. Marshall's women's basketball program has been to one NCAA tournament, and that was almost 20 years ago. So you got something to shoot for, Shayna.
Yeah, we're going to change that, hopefully.
Coach Daniel offers the number 52 recruiting class in the nation, and that class involves the 2015 Gatorade Player of the Year, Miss Shayna Gore, who joins us here. Shayna, congratulations as always. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. Good night.
We'll step aside for our final break. When we come back, we'll check our poll question, check our final scoreboard, where we will set the stage for tomorrow's Super Saturday up in Charleston, West Virginia, and bring this show on Friday the 13th to a close. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Special thanks tonight to all of our affiliates and great radio stations throughout the Mountain State, carrying Basketball Friday Night, making sure you can hear it. You can listen in on great radio stations, including Power 92 Radio, 92.3 FM, WYRC, LP in Spencer, 97.9 FM, WSBWLP Parkersburg, 91.5 FM, WRSG Middleburn, Knights Radio, 106.7 FM, WHFI Lenside, 101.9 FM and 1290 AM, WVOW Logan, 90.7 FM, WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM, WQAZLP Edmond, Beckley, 101.7 FM, WYAPLP Clay, and 88.1 FM WMUL in Huntington. Cable subscribers can find Basketball Friday Night every Friday night on Comcast Channel 25 in the Huntington area and also on Armstrong Digital Channel 204. Streaming online high-definition video can be found on our website at basketballnight.com and on affiliate rsnsports.com. You can listen online with any computer or mobile device by going to basketballnight.com and click on Listen Live. We want you to check out the Daily Hoops Roundup. You can go to basketballnight.com and you can also sign up to receive the Daily Hoops Roundup. You can even sign up to receive an email with all of the scores recapping what's happened throughout the entire day. And it includes all the state championship games. Go to basketballnight.com and check out all the things there, score-wise, throughout the Mountain State. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Marone, James Collier, and Ryan Epling.
11:50 on this Friday the 13th. James Collier, Bill Cordwell in studio. Coach Marone up in Charleston, West Virginia. Ryan Epling under the weather. He'll be back next week. Hope he's feeling much better. Is a little under the weather this evening. We wish him the best. I'll be in Charlotte, North Carolina next weekend as I'm head for my final road trip with Marshall Softball. Marshall Softball in the middle of an epic battle this afternoon is in the 10th inning and still a scoreless affair, and the rain stopped the matchup. So hope to get the game started tomorrow. Not for sure. Obviously, rain's supposed to continue throughout the weekend up until tomorrow evening. Definitely, if you're out on the roadways, you see standing water, do not attempt to drive through it. Turn around, go another direction.
Watch out for the potholes, too. There are some amazing potholes around the area.
Speaking real quick of the potholes before we wrap up tonight's show, Melanie Schaefer of WSAZ, she was headed down Spring Valley Boulevard earlier this week, and she hit a pothole that blew her back window out of her car.
Now, that's a bad one.
That is a bad. She's hit it on social media, and she said, "Are you kidding me? This has to be fixed."
Boy.
But yeah, one of the things that we'll hit real quick before we check the final scoreboard. This week's poll question: should regionals be pushed back later in the week in the event of the sectional game? You spoke of the voters. Comes in 67% says yes, it should be in. 33% says no.
They agreed with me. The majority agrees with me.
So,
all right.
So that's our poll question for this past week. Our new poll question is getting ready to be posted, and we'll send it back to Braxton Chris for this week's poll question.
Thank you, James. Kind of in the same vein, but a different situation as well. Should the SSAC be more lenient in its sectional and regional final schedule? Yes, there are fines they can impose on teams, sections, and such for not getting their sectionals and regionals in on time, but sometimes you literally cannot, as we experienced last weekend. So we're asking, should the SSAC be more lenient in the situations to give every team the same advantage, the same opportunity for rest, things like that, leading up into the state tournament? Answer your questions all the way till next Friday night, the last Friday night, Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
11:45 next Friday night. We'll close the polls for good this season on our final episode of Basketball Friday Night. Before we check our final scoreboard, Billy C. will have a check of that. Our good friend Grant Traylor, who's been covering the event all week long, just finished up with Taryn McCutcheon in postgame. And in her postgame interview, she sat down at the table, and I quote, "I'm just here so I don't get fined."
Oh, my.
That is what you call killing it.
Marshawn Lynch would be proud.
She goes beast mode in the state championship up in Charleston. Good job for Taryn McCutcheon. That's what you call having fun and enjoying life to its fullest. At the high school level, I'm just here so I don't get fined. One check of the Basketball Friday Night scoreboard. Billy C. set the stage for us tomorrow up in Charleston. Super Saturday as we'll cut down the nets.
Looking for scores? Well, look no more. Here's the scoreboard. Of course, the semifinal action in Class Single A this afternoon at the Charleston Civic Center Coliseum. It was a Huntington St. Joe Fighting Irish taking over, beating their rivals, the Charleston Catholic Irish. 51-27, St. Joe the winner. And they will go for a 7th straight Single A championship tomorrow at noon, taking on the Wheeling Central team. Tucker County, the victim of Wheeling Central this afternoon, 52-40. In Class Single A, Fairmont Senior went over Lincoln today, 65-35, and Fairmont Senior will take on the Indians of Sissonville, who upset the number 1 seed in the AA tournament, Wyoming East, this evening, 55-54. The Class AA Championship, Sissonville and Fairmont Senior tomorrow, 2:30, Charleston Civic Center Coliseum. And in Class AAA, Morgantown Mohegans. The Mohegans beat the Huntington Highlanders 48-42 this afternoon, and they will face the Parkersburg South Patriots in the Class AAA Championship. Last game of the day at the Civic Center this evening, Parkersburg South thrashed South Charleston 64-41, and that means it will be Morgantown, Parkersburg South, the matchup most people expected for the Class AAA Championship tomorrow night. 7:15 tip-off, Charleston Civic Center.
Thank you, Billy C. I still can't get over Taryn McCutcheon. That is just goes absolutely beast mode into postgame. And I want to know, Now is the WVSSAC, are they going to respond to beast mode Taryn McCutcheon? Well, that may be our poll question next week. Should athletes have to appear in post-game conferences, or will they be fined?
They're high school kids. Come on. But, again, I mentioned it earlier in how they handled it. I think it's a great learning experience. And I know that yesterday after the Spring Valley game that Jordan Dawson made the comment to the media that she was more nervous appearing before them than she was out on the basketball court, and it showed the way she played as she almost single-handedly, along with Erica Budd, brought Huntington back from a 9-point deficit to beat Spring Valley in the first round of the tournament in Class AAA. But it's a good learning experience for a young lady like her. Puts them in a different experience, takes them out of their comfort level. But again, they do learn from this.
Let's go through the boys bracket. They'll start Wednesday. We'll go through Class Single A. Number 1, Wheeling Central. Number 8, Charleston Catholic. That's Wednesday at 5:30. Wednesday night is number 4, Tug Valley. Number 5, Williamstown. Wednesday morning, 9:30 starts off the boys. Number 3, Magnolia. Number 6, Clarksburg Notre Dame. And Wednesday at 1, number 2, Greater Beckley Christian. And number 7, Tucker County. In Double A, number 1, Polka. Number 8, Ravenswood. That's Thursday at 5:30. Number 4, Westside. Number 5, RCB. Thursday at 9 p.m. in the evening. And then 9:30 Thursday morning, number 3, Fairmont Senior, number 6, Mingo Central. And Thursday at 1 p.m., number 2, Bridgeport, number 7, Bluefield. In Class AAA, number 1, Park South, number 8, Musselman. That's Wednesday, 7:15. At 11:15 a.m., number 4, Martinsburg, number 5, Woodrow Wilson. Thursday, 7:15, number 3, Huntington, number 6, Greenbrier East. And our final matchup in Class AAA, Wednesday, 11:15 a.m., number 2, Hurricane, number 7, Parkersburg. Billy C., always a pleasure. Thanks for coming in and filling in tonight for an ailing Ryan Epling and our buddy Rick Marone up in Charleston. I'm sure he's probably nighty-night sometime by now.
I'm hoping Ryan feels better. Ryan's been working some weird hours lately in weird situations because of the weather, and he needed a night off. So I was glad to fill in and bring a little perspective, and certainly it's been a busy night as far as a very entertaining girls tournament in Charleston.
So Super Saturday tomorrow, Championship Saturday up in Charleston, West Virginia, as St. Joe Wheeling Park in Single A, Wheeling Central, Sissonville and Fairmont Senior Double A, and Morgantown Park South over in Triple A. A great thank you to all the guys behind the scenes for taking care of everything. For Bill Cornwell, I'm James Collier. Final show next Friday night from everyone at Basketball Friday Night. Thanks for watching. Good night, everyone.
Thank you for listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Tune in next Friday for the latest high school basketball action from across the Mountain State. Visit our website at basketballnight.com for our poll question, the basketballnight.com scoreboard, and much more. Until next time, have a great weekend, and thank you for listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. The preceding broadcast was a presentation of the Fast Break Sports Network. Copyright 2015. All